Hello, hello, happy Friday. Welcome to our Friday Witchy Hangout. We do this every single Friday and we ask a juicy question of the universe. We mix our energies together and we have a good time exploring life, love, and ourselves and things that have confused us and things that we're still working through. And if that sounds good to you, then it's the same time every single Friday and you are always welcome here. So I hope that your holiday season is going great. Light of love, thank you so much for the super chat. Hello, hello. So I don't think we really have any announcements. And so I'm just going to move right into the pile selection. Today we are doing a reading on what would they do differently, if anything. So this kind of gets to the heart of like, do they regret anything that they did or what they said or how they acted or the way that things turned out, and what would they do differently, if anything? So we have an anchor card. So I'll throw that up there because I do feel like we read the tarot together. I feel like we're all intuitives that are drawn in here to this space. Even if you don't think you have that, I feel like if you're exploring the tarot, that spirit is trying to assist you in turning on your intuition a little more, connecting with it, learning how it works and flows through you. So I feel like I read for a general message, and you might pick up on certain things that are specific to your situation or like a small subgroup, and it might be helpful to throw it out in the chat to see if other people are resonating with it. So our anchor card in this reading is the Aletheia card, which means truth. And so I'll let you get a good look at that. You might see this card flash in your mind at some point during the reading. You might really connect with like the concept of truth, or it might highlight or underline something in a certain way in your mind. So it's just good to kind of keep that in mind. Hello, hello. Okay, so I keep forgetting that we actually put the anchor card on like the regular screen, so you can still see that if you're looking at it. But here are our choices. So pile number 1 is the King, pile number 2 is the Father, and pile number 3 is the Mountain. So I'll put that up there. If you haven't selected your pile already, now is a good time to do that in whatever way you do. We just take a few moments here to go utterly quiet and to close, well, I like to close my eyes and just connect in an inward space. Just turn that focus inwards and allow the noise of the external world to kind of drop, and any kind of concepts of self and anything that you got going on. So you're just connecting to that deeper part of you, the part that never dies, the part that reincarnates lifetime after lifetime, that doesn't have a name or a social security number or anything like that. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's just go ahead and do that. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes and be drawn into whatever pile or multiple piles that you are drawn into. Maybe this person messed up a lot and they would change a lot of things. And keep in mind that sometimes I like to set the intention that what happens in like the tarot reading can be a message in and of itself. Because I do think there's a broader thing that we're all trying to connect to here besides just the answers to our questions. We're communing with spirit. We're learning how to connect with life and learning how energy is kind of like flowing through. So keep in mind the way that you get drawn into your pile might be a message in and of itself, clarifying the situation, because you might have thought that it was one thing, but actually it's another thing. Or it could just tell you how spot on your intuition has been in this situation. If you're like, oh, I thought that was my pile, my intuition was leading me to this, but actually I realized my pile is a different pile. All those things can be little messages as well that especially link to self-awareness and self-knowledge. So there's a bird outside my window making so much noise during my quiet time. Hello, hello. Okay, so Oh, and actually before we move on, so we tried to start our book last week. So we're going to try to start it this week because we were having some connection problems. And if we have those same connection problems, we're just going to kind of push through because the audio was coming through okay. But we are going to start our book, Codependency. Here, I'll just turn this off for a second. Codependency No More by Melody Beattie. It is a bestseller. And I think that this is kind of a bigger problem than people realize, that it's just hard to know that there's a name for it, because so often people who are codependent, they call their codependency a different name. They call it their femininity. They call it their personality. They call it their temperament. They call it the thing that makes them a good mom or the thing that makes them a good partner, when actually it's something warped, and it masks as like love or closeness or care, but it is this kind of scrambled, erratic pattern. And a lot of times it is part of like family diseases, like kind of family dysfunctions. And so it's helpful if you're trying to understand like your attachment style, the way that you love, the way that your relationships have unfolded, that unpacking codependency and how it may flow through you and may flow through your family. So this is such an interesting read, and we're going to start that. So if you want to listen to that, it'll be at the end. Like usually when we do the general messages, we do all 3 piles and then we do the general messages at the end. So instead of doing the general messages, we're going to try to start this book. And she does start by talking about alcoholics, but it broadens out. Codependency is not just a problem for people, like for alcoholics. Okay. So let's let Alex get us all set up here.
Sorry.
It's okay. Hello. Light of Love, did I say thank you for the super chat? Thank you so much for the super chat and starting us off here. Okay. I chose both. Nice. All right. So pile number 1, the king. Here we go. All right. So pile number 1. Ooh. I'm like a lot of times, I don't know what deck that I want to be drawn to, and I have to kind of like pause and think about it. So with this group, there might be something about being much more decisive and like actually going in for what somebody wanted here. Like just being more like, I know I'm going for this, like just go right directly like in for that something. Yeah, it may have something here to do with truth, and then like shedding a skin, like getting to the truth. I feel like maybe this person had to shed some kind of a skin, and it feels like a very thin layer, like at the top, that wasn't really actually who they are or what they wanted. And it was like all dry. I'm seeing like a snake with its snake skin, and it looks all kind of like dry and like it's trying to come off. And you know how snakes have to like rub against like certain things in order for it to come off? I feel like this person's like, that should have been a more like, maybe decided process. Maybe that's the thing. Like they wish that they would have just been more proactive, like, it's time for me to shed this skin. I have to rub against this rock so that I can present myself, because I'm seeing this snake want to look like beautiful and like look its best self, instead of like having all this like dry skin like on it. So it can put its best foot forward. So I feel like somebody here would have really tried to put their best foot forward by taking care of themselves and like just doing what needs to get done and honoring that process and being like a decided, like active participant in that process. And that way the truth could like be said, or the truth could be seen, or the truth could come about. I am seeing like actually a strong snake totem here. This feels like a very strong, healthy kind of a totem. This person may have snake yoni somewhere in their chart, which is Mrigashira and Rohini, and those are like counterparts. So, okay, yeah. So I feel like this person also, I feel like they needed to shed a skin and they needed to leave some kind of comfort zone. And it could have even been a place of like where they were dependent on maybe somebody for money, or, and that was maybe part of shedding this skin and putting their best foot forward. Snake yonis as well. This is kind of the schmegdual temperament of the nakshatras. When I'm talking about yonis, yoni obviously has a certain meaning. Lingam and yoni, those are the female and male reproductive parts. But yoni in the nakshatras connects to some kind of like, not like a boon energy, but something that you do really, really well. So I feel like this person wanted to tap into some kind of like quality that they do really, really well, like be able to showcase it, because I feel like this person maybe is independent and can leave a dependent situation, because the snake yonis, as I was getting ready to say, they can kind of like sleep around, but actually they love very deeply. And when they find their person, they like really wrap around that person, and they are very protective and monogamous and like very, very loving. But if they don't really if they don't have that connection with somebody, then it's just, you might think that this person is just kind of like, like a fly by nighter, doesn't really like want to be tied down, but they just have to meet like that right person. So I feel like this person is wanting to showcase that, wish fulfillment, so that they could maybe showcase that they are a wish fulfillment for you, or that you are a wish fulfillment for them. Yeah, because 9 of Cups energy to me, that is like an exalted Venus energy. So that they could rise to the occasion and like really maybe it's either like take the lead more. There's something here about leadership. They wanted to take, what they would do differently is they take the lead in their own life, and they would stop trying to take the lead in yours. Maybe they would maybe allow you to choose. They maybe would have wanted to put on a little bit of a show for you, like not necessarily a performance or like anything that's fake. They just wanted to showcase themselves better, so that you could sniff around them and make your own choice and actually choose them and realize that they are like a good person for you, that there's like a wish fulfillment kind of energy. Yeah. And there's like stability here. And maybe even blocking out certain voices, certain, that maybe said that they always have to be in control or something like that. Maybe that's part of the skin that this person was wanting to shed. I bought chicken nuggets to eat while watching, and then before she started, I finished them all. Nice. Okay, so what else would this person change? Okay, because that chicken nuggets thing made me think like, okay, because I wanted to have chicken nuggets last night, and then like we ran out, and like, so Alex like ended up picking something up on the way home. Anyways, like maybe there's something here about that, like replenishing something, like they wish that they would have replenished something a little sooner. And that might be even a small thing, like, I don't know, maybe. And that might even be tied in with like putting your best foot forward, or even just like being prepared if things don't exactly like go the right way. Just so that, chicken nuggets for me, it's like when you don't know what you're going to have, it's always a good thing to have. Because I don't know, it goes with a lot of things. It's protein, like you can just, okay. Yeah. Maybe this person feels like they were kind of focused on like the wrong things were important. Okay. They could have like honed in on little details that were not important, and ultimately like maybe not the right thing for them, but they were told, I'm seeing the Emperor card again in my mind. I just folded it back in the deck, but it's like, something here, and it could be a father figure. It could be, I'm kind of getting like patriarchy, to be honest. Like there's some kind of societal conditioning that this person was under, that they had to be, whatever the patriarchy tells men, they have to stand alone, and they have to be in control, and they have to be at the top, and they have to, all this stuff. And they were that was like general advice that is given for everybody, but it may not have sat well with this person's constitution. It's not like really who they are, and they would do that differently. Okay, so what else would this person... I just heard sell out. I think this person feels like they sold out in some way. There also could have been something that they sold. Maybe it was something that you gave them, or it could have been a ring or something. I don't know. Something that they sold. Or I just heard sold out a dream. Like flow down the river, sold out a dream kind of a thing. What else would this person... Yeah, I just got really dizzy. Like not actually dizzy, but it felt like straight to the head. So maybe there's something here about like this person feeling like confused, or like I just heard like sell out a dream. So maybe this person, maybe there was some drinking involved here, or just like kind of being out of their mind, like not really thinking about it, and just kind of floating down the river and like selling out a dream. This person has a lot that I feel like they would do differently. They wouldn't make a certain sacrifice. And I don't think that comes for you. I think that maybe this person was like up on some kind of cross. But it was like for the wrong reasons. It wasn't like they were like dying for a cause. Like, this is the hill that they chose to die on, but it's like, for what? Like it's not like for them. And they may have made a sacrifice, like maybe you were the sacrifice. I don't know, but they sacrificed something here and they were like kind of up on the cross. Maybe they were suffering like for a prolonged period of time. And it's like, they just really didn't need to do that. They just needed, it feels like this person, there's something here about hands too, like just taking something into their own hands and getting themselves down off the cross and being like, this is not required of me. Maybe this person felt that it's like some kind of prolonged period of like self-sacrifice and like towards a suffering, in a suffering way, towards some kind of like goal that they had for themselves was something that they were supposed to do. And, they wish they hadn't have done that. And a lot of this does have to do with kind of being the center of their own existence, actually, in a healthy way. They wish that they would have centered themselves more instead of, because it feels like this person had like an idea of who they were supposed to be and they were trying to kind of superimpose that over themselves and stuff themselves into a shoe instead of trying to figure out what shoe best fits them. And that would have kind of clicked everything in for this person, even in regards to that emperor energy. But again, it feels like that healthy emperor energy is taking control of their own life and their own destiny and their own wants and organizing their life and not trying to control other people as a means of, it feels kind of weirdly passive. And it does feel kind of like more of the feminine role where this person was trying to adorn themselves with certain things to look a certain way. And in order to draw you in or in order to attract people, and it attracted like the wrong people. So like just getting those energies like in the place where they go, this person would have done that. Okay, so what else would this person have done differently? Okay, I just saw the Empress and the Three of Swords. So they wouldn't have betrayed an Empress. Oh, look, devil energy. Yeah. So this person I feel is, I don't know. I know my channel and the readings that come through me. And I feel like this person is kind of pieced together a lot is what it seems like. And I feel like this person actually took some kind of care to come through in a certain way, like in the lives, like in this message, because I feel like they could have started there. They could have said like, well, I wish that I wouldn't have betrayed an Empress and like fallen prey to some kind of like devil energy. They could have started there, but it feels like they were trying to work up to that. And they were kind of demonstrating that they understand all of the different variables. It wasn't just that this person had a momentary lapse in judgment. This person kind of understands that it's entirely the way that their life was set up and entirely the way that they're relating to themselves and who they want to be as a person and stuff. They have like this deep understanding and they're kind of actually, okay, I'm hearing the song Us by Gracie Abrams. It's just like, it feels, that's such a dreamy song. Like I'm just kind of, and I'm seeing it like kind of loop around like, and in that song, she keeps saying like, do you miss us? But, yeah. So, I feel like this person, what am I getting from that? They wish that they wouldn't have to be asking that question. Like, do you miss us? Do you miss what we had? Do you miss what we could have been, et cetera, et cetera? But yeah, I feel like this person is, it's healing. That's kind of the energy that I'm connected with, because I feel like they want to heal that. But part of the healing is taking ownership and responsibility for who they are and what they've done and the person that they've become and the people that they've kind of attracted in and like allowed to be around them. And I feel like they're trying to, in a way, heal you, but not like directly heal you, but they feel like healing you is like letting you know, like, I understand that like all of this had an effect. Oh my gosh. So I'm seeing this other thing in my mind. This popped up on my feed like yesterday and I forgot about it because I knew about it before, but it was, I think his name is Dave Portnoy from Full House, like the Uncle Dave. Was it Uncle Dave? And his name's Dave in real life. But so, Alanis Morissette wrote that song, You Oughta Know. And it's such a visceral anima kind of like song. Every time I scratch my nails down someone else's back, I hope you feel it, and it's so raw. And so what popped up on my feed was this interview of him, this little short of the interview with him where he was explaining when he heard that song that he just, with such a flat affect and like just a calm demeanor, he was like, that's when I realized like, oh, I think I really hurt this person. And I was like, did you, Dave? Do you think you hurt this person?
Just to clarify, that's Dave Collier.
Okay, Dave.
Not Dave Portnoy.
I have no idea.
He's a weirdo and frankly not a great person.
Okay, so Dave Portnoy, get your stuff together. And Dave Collier, what a name. But yeah, so there's just like such a difference. And it just brought up this like, this feeling in me of just like, like it's such a different world, where he's so shut off that even like years later, he couldn't even like kind of recognize his behaviors and how do you think you hurt that woman? And everything that she was sharing in the songs, like he just wasn't looking at it through her lens, basically like through the lens of empathy and the effect that I have on other people. So I feel like this person would maybe try to have, try to think about how their actions affect other people, because I think this person maybe felt like their actions didn't affect you. But now it's like something must have happened. I don't know if you've had a conversation with this person. I don't know if this is just via like some kind of maturing process, whatever, therapy, whatever this is. But I feel like this person is like, I just wish that it feels like a self-centeredness. Like they were just kind of focused on themselves. And it also feels like kind of a woe is me kind of a thing. Like, and a numbness. And again, like them being kind of like dragged down the river. And it's like, just like, I just saw this person smack themselves in the face. Like, just like, what are you doing? Like, why are you living that way? Oh, also in that Gracie Abrams song, there's a line in there that it's like, and what seemed like fate becomes what was I doing? But I feel like this relationship, I think, felt some kind of relationship or place that this person was supposed to be. It feels like their genuine life path that actually would have represented them. They just like let it go. They just like floated down the river. They were like, I guess like that'll just always come around. They were just waiting for fate to kind of like find them. Very, very passive influence or passive force in their own existence, and lost. I just heard everything. Like they feel like they kind of just like lost themselves, and they lost, when you lose yourself and your kind of foundation, like, you know, you lose everything is kind of what I'm getting. And so, yeah, I feel like this person, they were like, well, I guess this must be fate, because I feel like this person expected you to do all of the saving, initiating, emperor stuff. This person's like, the lesson here is that you need to be the emperor in your own life, male or female. You have to be able to tap into that. Like, this is my life. I'm going to get the results that I want. I'm going to be direct. I'm going to go after the thing that I want. And I'm not going to leave space for all this weird, confusing shit. I'm not going to hurt a woman, hear an album and be like, could I possibly have wounded her? Like, yes, yes, you did. It reminds me of Eckhart Tolle too. So there could have, maybe this person wishes that they would have started a spiritual journey or connected with their spirituality in a realer way sooner. But, because Eckhart Tolle talks about self-awareness and consciousness, spiritually speaking, but he talks about the gap shortening and shortening and shortening when you become aware that you are, when you're acting, so like in the world, as you're taking some kind of action, you don't just kind of unconsciously take an action and then kind of think about it later. As you grow in your spirituality and your awareness, that gap gets shorter and shorter and shorter to where you'll become aware, genuinely aware of what it is that you're doing and the effects that it's having in your life, and just how potent every single moment is. You will have that awareness, that raw awareness, where you're really plugged in closer and closer and closer. Because it feels like this person, it was like Dave, what was his name? Cartier? Whatever, think years later, having to hear a song and then be like, I think maybe I heard that. Like, and so even needed some kind of prompting to think, like, to have empathy and really understand how his actions must feel, like from a different, perspective. So yeah, I feel like this person has a lot of regrets. Okay. So what else with this person? It is like they want to have like the 10 of Cups. They would have prioritized like joy. And like, I don't know, this person, I feel like if you would have asked this person what they wanted, like earlier on in their life or at a certain key moment, because it feels like there was some kind of crossroads is what I'm getting, like a certain key moment. I am hearing the word key is like really kind of coming about, but I feel like this person wouldn't know. They would be like, I don't know. I just, I feel like God wants that for me. Like whatever God just has down this river, I guess I'm just going to keep floating down this river, and whatever bank I roll up on, then that's where I'm going to be. And this person, I think now would say, no, they would describe the feeling, like manifesting. It's like, instead of saying, they wouldn't focus so much on like the middleman. Well, I want $1 million and then I'll be happy, or I want to have, it's like, I want happiness. Like I want joy. I want peace. I want the people that are supposed to be around me to be around me. And I want to be the Ace of Cups back. Like I want to be a part of that, like healthy, reciprocal exchange. And I want to kind of, it feels like be a protector of that, but just see when the energy is different, because I feel like this person may have fallen. I just heard a lot of false friends, and I also just heard false flame, and the false flame could have done all the things that were demonizing you for not doing, the man stuff. It kind of feels like the man stuff, but or they were like, you aren't chasing after me. And they were just so passive. And so I feel like maybe there was some type of false flame where it's like, they're all up in their business and they're all up in their face, but that's that's not the lesson that they're supposed to learn. They're supposed to have agency. And this is male or female, by the way. This person's supposed to have agency. They're supposed to not be acted upon and like act in their own life and be a dance partner and an actual participant instead of like just, I'm just seeing this person like sat back and like somebody here is like just all up in their space, like just like kind of all around, like doing all the things, like doing their hair and then like doing that, you know, and like put this here and like said this here. It's like have a self, you know, like have an opinion. And yeah, this person was really scared. And I think I just heard masking. I feel like this person was masking like a lot of fears, and they feel like their whole life was an illusion, or that they were kind of just enacting an illusion. So passive. It feels like this is just so passive. But underneath the surface, there's a lot of like Nine of Swords energy, just like anxiety. Yeah, I just heard that song. Anxiety, somebody's watching me. Yeah, so I feel like that all kind of like manifested into this kind of, overwhelm. It feels like just an overwhelm and like a stuckness and like, I don't know what to do. And I think this person would have sought help for that. I think this person, oh my gosh, I've had this experience. I'm sure a lot of you have too, because I feel like we're just an inherently anxious species. I feel like anxiety comes through in a lot of different forms. You remember that meme that was like, you're such a percent of water that you're basically just a cucumber with more complicated emotions. Like, and a lot of it is just like anxiety. Maybe that's like societies that we build for ourselves. But it seems like this person, there's something here where they're like, that was anxiety. Like whatever it was, they're like, oh, that was anxiety. And it could even be this like weird stagnation or this stuckness or like whatever. And they're like, I wish that I could have identified that I have a problem with anxiety. And I wish I would have addressed that problem with anxiety. I also feel like this person wishes that other people around them, I'm getting like a school psychologist, you know, a teacher, their parent could have recognized their symptom of anxiety. But I feel like this person's maybe high functioning, or like they have some kind of like strong mask of like everything's okay, or like again, this person's maybe like a bit passive or like deer in the headlights, and maybe it just looks like they're calm and centered and they're genuinely like, I don't care. And people will just kind of tell this person what to do then, you know, and then that they just kind of do, instead of like actually realizing, wait, in this moment, you're having an issue. Are you here? Like, you know, I feel like this person just wishes that somebody would have recognized that there's some kind of patterning here. Okay, I just got goosebumps and like I felt like a warm hug. Like, yeah, thanks for seeing that. Like like they just wish they could have had some kind of help in regards of that. And I think maybe this person did receive help, but it was this kind of reactionary help, but everybody was kind of responding around this person to their anxiety instead of talking directly to their anxiety and kind of like dealing with it first and foremost and saying, oh, because I remember I went to this like holistic doctor person, and they were talking about like hunger, you know, and like that our bodies can show hunger. Like it's not necessarily just your stomach growling and things like that. It can be anything. And I started to realize that I start getting very anxious thoughts when I'm hungry. And that's like the first sign that I'm hungry is like my thoughts will just start kind of like spiraling. And then if I just have like a little bit of cheese or something, I'm fine. So, you know, it's like weird little things like that where you're like, is this really the solution? Like a cheese stick solves my problem? Question mark, question mark. Is that what it is? Because it feels more than that when it's happening in the moment, you know? And I just like felt my ears get really red and like really embarrassed. So it could be, I'm kind of, remember those old Snickers commercials where it's like, hungry? Why wait? Grab a Snickers. But it would be like somebody like transforming like, you know, into like some kind of like monster or something. And then it's like, when you just have that like little something to eat, then it's like, oh, you're fine, you know? I feel like there might be some kind of embarrassment here of this person being like, oh my God, like I just needed to carry a cheese stick in my pocket. Fire Toe, thank you so much for the super chat. This was so on the nose. I'm surprised you aren't sneezing. Oh boy. Yeah, so I feel like this person has a lot of regrets here in this situation. They really do. They're kind of wanting to circle back around and say that they do regret betraying you in some kind of way, or betraying your love, or betraying some kind of equality here, because it feels like there's like a Venus energy. And Venus it rules over this balanced energy. It rules over relationships. So things like having an equal give and take in a conversation, actually entertaining having a conversation that needed to happen, and respecting you and your wants and your needs. Because I feel like when this person was thinking about you and like they were really trying to decipher your actions, and they weren't at all. And I think we can all fall into this because like, okay, as I'm sitting here now, I can't see my own self. My eyes are on the front of my head, so I can just see you. And that's the same for you as well. So I think our minds are kind of set up like that, where when we're trying to understand the world around us, we sort of forget to factor ourselves in, that we are also variables in the equation that we have to like take into consideration. This is also reminding me of like learning about the Hawthorne effect in psychology, because my teacher like took us out like when in high school, this was a psych class in high school, and we sat in like this central hub, like my entire class. So we had to be in class like during the when you switch classes, the transition period or whatever. And we were just like sitting there like watching people. And that was like our lesson, that people behave differently when they know that they're being watched. But if we could watch from like a camera or something, then maybe people would have behaved differently. But as you know, if there's 20 kids just like sitting there like just quietly staring at everybody, it's weird. And you could see everybody kind of just be like, and he's like, my teacher was like, do you understand how you're not actually observing something in its natural habitat? So if you're Jane Goodall and you're trying to study gorillas and you're just sitting there like, maybe the gorilla's probably going to look at you back, you know? Maybe it's threatened. Maybe it can't figure you out. But it certainly wouldn't be doing that if your influence wasn't. So I feel like we can be like that. And I feel like this person is recognizing that when they were like exploring you or thinking about you and like your situation, they were trying to understand you in this incredibly passive approach, instead of realizing that acting in the situation would have changed the outcome. Also, I feel like they were kind of sat back watching you, but they weren't considering that like they're in the room right now, like just sitting at the periphery, and that's signaling to you that maybe you're not important, or that they maybe are with somebody else, or that they'd rather talk to somebody else over there, or maybe they're watching you on social media and you can't see that. You don't know that they're interested in you, or that they're wanting to. You don't know, And this person, I think it becomes this kind of like self-centered attitude of not considering like what the way that they're coming across to you. But there's a lot of Venus things like balancing out things. They wish that they would have been more balanced. And their energy found a way to meet their own needs and communicate their own needs and their own like side of things. It's Venus energy that this person wishes that. And for some of you, there might be a mother issue here or a family issue, because if this is a masculine energy, like Venus, like the moon is like mother. But Venus is part of what like separates that bond out. So it could be that this person was like too listening to their mom or something when they needed to be distancing themselves from their mom and from that like familial influence and just distinguishing themselves. I just heard as a gentleman. They needed to distinguish themselves like as a gentleman, or as a gentle lady, like whatever this is. But total denier of low blood sugar rages. Yes. Okay. Yeah, so this person feels like something here was like hidden and secret from you because they were scared and they were living in some kind of like illusion about what was going on, because this person wasn't like putting the pieces together, but also you weren't able to put the pieces together here. I feel like this person is like, wow, that really blew out of control. But I also feel like they're like that Dave guy who is like, wow, I think I really hurt this person. And probably like a lot of other people as well, because there was some kind of unequal give and take. And this person in a certain way feels like they started it. In a certain way, they feel like they started it, and some kind of neediness in them started it. And that if you did yell at this person, or if you guys did get in an argument or something, they're recognizing now that was like wisdom coming from you, and that it was their like wake up call to act right, to act better, to be a healthy participant in like a love relationship balance. Yeah, they wish that they could have been like more stable, more routined, more disciplined, or shown up that way. So like if this person wasn't helping out around the house or pulling their fair share in the yard work or whatever, like this person wished that they would have done that. And they wish that they would have seen your like delicacy, or that if they actually showed up and took certain things off of your plate and took the pressure off of you, they kind of regret that they didn't get to experience this side of you, like this sweet kind of innocent side of you. And maybe for some, this person, this is like a fawn, right? This is fawning. For some, maybe they didn't recognize that they were fawning, and that is a stress response. That's like fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And maybe they also didn't communicate that to you, but maybe they also saw you fawning like to them, and they didn't recognize that as you're being defensive, or something here like that. But also I feel like there's some kind of, you were either new at something, like maybe it was the new phase in your relationship and you were kind of like innocent, genuinely innocent. And maybe this person was trying to like understand what your angle was or something. And you're like, I feel defensive like towards you. And I'm just trying to protect myself from all this weird shit that you're doing or not doing. And even just like protect yourself from the fact that you don't think this person is fair in relationships. And if they're playing strategy with you, it might be because they don't care about you. Like you are defending yourself against that. You don't want to get hurt, and that you were maybe just like very sweet and very innocent. And this was like a tender time, or there was some aspect of you that they feel like they killed, or like they didn't protect it. They didn't recognize it. They didn't appreciate it. And yeah, it's like this kind of dynamic. There also could have been a weird dynamic with your dad, or like some kind of controlling, like your boss, or some kind of controlling, feels like masculine influence. And it could even be in them that they're recognizing that it's just not appropriate. That emperor towering energy over like this like sweet little deer, you know, it's like, what are you doing? Like, stop. What are you doing? Yeah. And this person, okay, for some of you, if they like went back to somebody, slept with somebody from their past, or slept with a friend and then like tried to hide that from you, then they regret that as well. This person's kind of like, oh, okay, so maybe they did that to try to make you jealous, or to try to make you angry, or to take control over the situation. And they really like, you were in such soft, tender, sweet energy. And maybe you were like fawning because you like kind of felt defense like that. I was, as you were trying to defend yourself in some way that was very sweet and kind and not in your face. And this person feels like, whoom, like they just whoom, you know, in some kind of way. And it was like very controlling. And, yeah. So, and that was, there was some kind of illusion about that, where maybe this person thought that you were being manipulative or something here like that. And that there was some kind of plan, or maybe they enacted some kind of plan, and maybe it had to do with like sleeping with somebody from their past, or again, sleeping with a friend, or hiding it, or, yeah. Why would they hide it? This comes through sometimes in the reading, and I don't truly understand it. I think it's just kind of like taking the puff off of the cigarette, but it's like they wanted to hurt you, but like behind your back. So they wanted to, I don't know how it's going to hurt you if you don't find out about it. So it might just be that they felt like they had some kind of control over you, or that they're giving somebody some kind of power over you and not protecting you, especially if this is a man, because men are, don't make me roll my eyes. But men are as a group, it's like, oh, they're protectors, or they're meant to be the protectors. Maybe they are meant to be the protectors, but I just don't think that like in society, the actual patterns, I think that, let me not be cynical. I think that, let me just say this. I do feel like it's genuinely unintelligent to just assume that a man is going to be your protector, and that he's not going to do something like just naturally for himself, or something that's going to hurt you. It's like, maybe if I'm being generous, I feel like it's maybe just a toss up here. So, I don't know. It could be just that, like, I'm not protecting you. Ha. Like, you know, like I feel like he betrayed the wrong woman. I feel like this man has like some kind of woman issues, mother issues, emotional issues, something here like that. Yeah, they're just kind of going back to like your innocence. But even like as I'm kind of like growling on your behalf, and they're like, yeah, see, like you're sweet and innocent. Maybe your friends had to defend. This guy didn't get a chance to even show that he can be somebody who takes care of his partner. And I feel like maybe your friends had to do that, or you had to learn how to do that yourself. And I just heard like kind of maybe like really leave this kind of energy behind. I just saw them crying. Yeah. There's some kind of like, yeah, there's a secret here. Maybe there's even some kind of secret child for some of you. I don't know how far out of hand this has gotten with this individual. Yeah. Yeah. Andrew says, I will love and protect my queen, not because she's weak, but rather because she's so important. And I feel like women protect men in the same way as well. Like not triangulating your partner with other people is a way that both sexes protect each other. And yeah. Okay. So anything else that this person regrets? I'm seeing amethyst here. And amethyst is like a real power crystal, and it does a lot of things. Oh, that's their like hope or their wish or something here. So there's some kind of like amethyst crystal. This is a metaphor for something. Unless maybe they regret, again, this could be like not connecting with their spirituality. I'm getting like the purple of the crown chakra, again, like just kind of being in connection with their higher self, like, and allowing that energy, I think, to permeate their space and kind of dead any energies that are needing to be dead here. And not saying they're sorry, waiting for you to say sorry. I feel like this person, I'm just getting an image of this person like watching you, being all sweet and innocent and just like not believing it. Just like thinking, and it was projection is what I'm getting. Like this person was projecting their own like really out of place, kind of distorted, fucked up, like controlling emperor energy, like onto you and saying like, well, that's probably what you're doing. And I feel like that was a defense mechanism for this person where they were hiding their vulnerability. And okay, so I'm kind of getting that like mirror energy between like the deer that we've been getting, that sweet kind of innocence, and then like that just strong like emperor energy. And I feel like there's a mirror and a masking between the two of you. So it's like because of, so I think that you were genuinely in this like sweet energy, but you were confused about the way this person was moving because maybe you knew that they were sleeping with somebody else, or like they were being strategic when they should have been open and again communicative and things like that. So you, I think, felt like I need to stay away from that. And so you had to develop that inner emperor, you know, to kind of be strategic, but try to not lose that sweet sensitivity that you had for other people. Like even if you have to move yourself away from this person. And then this person was masking with like the emperor energy, and they were trying to hide that they had that inner innocence. Oh, and so I'm hearing that Taylor Swift lyric, the elder sister. There's like this one part that I like love, and I just kind of like listen to over and over again. I know that song is like it's the bad bitch one, like I'm not a bad bitch. And yes, that is like it's funny lyrics, but the part where she's like, we lie back, a beautiful beautiful time lapse, kisses and Ferris wheels and lilacs. And things I said were dumb because I thought that I'd never find that. And I don't know if that's like a mirrored energy here, but it's like she's finally saying like, well, I did. I just thought that I would never find that. I thought that I'd never find that beautiful, beautiful life that shimmered that innocent light back. And that just like really hits me. It's like, that's what we're all looking for, right? We're looking for a love and a partner that shimmers like our own like innocence, our own like childlike playfulness and innocence and fun. And that's where you really feel like vulnerable in a good way, like vulnerable where you're connecting. And it doesn't feel like that heavy emotional kind of vulnerability, but it just feels like we're kids and we can be natural with each other and just love the things that we love and laugh at the things we want to laugh at and smear popsicle all over our face and not feel conscious about it and just, you know, and run and jump in the lake. And like, you know, it feels like that kind of energy. And I feel like this person is realizing that the way that they approached this entire dynamic just killed it right from the start, just snuffed it out right from the start, because they couldn't recognize that there was kind of everything, like that innocence, that delicate, sweet, like little beginning. It was this, and then this person was like, oh yeah, I get it. Oh, with the palm. And like, this is like the Jesus hand with like the nail through the middle, that you were just like, hey, and then they were like, and you were like, oh, you know, and then like you were like, I have to be much more strategic around you and with people in general by like, you know, it feels like that. So this person's kind of recognizing a chain of events, and they're kind of realizing that it started with them. Like, it's not that like you, actually, I kind of feel like it started with them, to be honest, because they were just expecting you to be, and they're seeing it differently now. And they're also, there's something here that they wish they would have scrutinized. It's a person around them. Somebody who wanted to like really be in control or like be seen a certain way. They didn't see that in the past. And it could be an aspect of themselves. An element within themselves. They're grieving that. They're really sad. They didn't see the strategy in trying to like be number one in some kind of way. And that could have been like, again, like, oh, I'm like the best. So I feel like they were trying to be like the best instead of just being like sane and healthy and making sure that they're not, I don't know. I think I hurt that girl. I just heard that. Like, I think I really hurt that girl. I think this person probably has hurt a lot of people, to be honest with you. They're self most of all, but they also regret like this beginning energy, not having a new beginning and not like planting a genuine seed here. Yeah. Like that. Yeah. And not telling the truth and not being the truth. Maybe I feel like this person also like would like to be able to confess to you that they were trying to stand out, but it feels like in a dominating way. And that could be for you. That could be other people. Because it's kind of, remember I learned that word, homosocial, that men are homosocial, where they might be attracted to women, you know, but socially because of patriarchy, they're conditioned to want to connect with and show off for other men. So this is where you get like the red pill phenomenon, where you have a group of men together telling women what they find attractive about men, even though a lot of women are like, no, that's not it. They don't care because they don't view women as intellectual equals, and they don't really care about women and their perspectives and what they want. They're like, no, we decide what is attractive and we're going to tell you, and it's domination. And meanwhile, a lot of women are like, I can't even date people anymore because it's just too ridiculous and cringe. And you have this rash of men on the internet that are like, yeah, she told me that I was too perfect and I was too charming. Like, no, she didn't. That's not what she said. So, yeah, I feel like there's just a lot of crap. This person is, the truth. They were trying to, I get it. They were trying to make the truth, shape the truth, and stab you with it instead of figuring out your truth and asking you your truth. And I think that there was a group of people around, and this person was maybe even trying to look cool, like to that group of people. So even this person may have misrepresented you to this group of people because, again, they were trying to control your truth. So this is a person who definitely was saying your side of it. I don't know. She's fucking crazy. Well, no, you're not. You're hurt and you're confused. And this person has confused you and they betrayed you and then they didn't apologize. This is playground stuff that everybody understands. But this person was just, they couldn't deal with that. So I think I'm going to leave that there because this person has a lot of regrets. I actually feel like they've done some work on themselves. It does seem like this person's done a lot of work on themselves. I don't know if this is like water under the bridge. I'm not sure how you feel about this person and if anything could be salvaged here, but it feels like they have done a lot of work on themselves, or they get it and they want you to know that I feel like this is all the stuff that this person would say. Maybe they've had a conversation with their therapist or like many conversations, but I feel like they would want to say this to you, like in conversation. This is the conversation that they would want to have to you. They would want to make sure that you understood. And I think that's their final regret. But they're hopeful that maybe they'll get the chance to iron things out, or they're just trying to do it etherically. Okay, so that was pile number 1. All right, so I'm going to throw this back up here. If you've just joined us, you've joined us at a great time because we just finished pile number 1, which is the king. We're moving on to pile number 2, which is the father. There's that anchor card up in the corner. So the anchor card, just as a reminder, is not a choice, but it's just that energy that's like infusing into all of the different piles. And if you can't read it, it says Aletheia, which is like, it means truth, some kind of truth energy. Jess, can we read the book Women Who Love Too Much? It's about codependency, but especially through the lens of women in romantic relationships, which I feel like is perfect for us. I'll look into that. Okay, so I want to read this book, and then I have another book that I think I want to read after this. I don't know. It's on the way. I listened to like a podcast about it, and it sounds like really cool. So yeah, we'll just keep adding books to our book club, what we were wanting to read together. Keep reminding me though, so because I might forget. I'm going to try to remember to write that down. Women Who Love Too Much. Yeah. This is an issue I'm having currently with my partner of 19 years. 20. Oh, even our anniversary day, LOL, he can't handle my lioness emperor side. Interesting. Okay, I'm going to take a drink. I'm going to compassion the space. I'm going to put more lipstick on, and then we're going to move to pile 2. Okay, I don't remember what order, but compassion. Guys, I could be a lot better with the compassion lately, and I'm sorry for that. I've been listening to certain things, and I could be a lot better. I miss the ears. They're adorable. Thank you so much. I got this like pack of Christmas headbands, and I just leave it at the door so anybody that enters my house at holiday time can put a headband on if they want. And we wear them on Christmas when people come over, and it's just fun. And I highly recommend it. It was like honestly $13 for like a pack of like 6 headbands. And it was honestly, it's so fun. I think it's really fun. Did I tell you that it's fun? Did I tell you that I think it's fun? Because I think it's fun. Okay.
You don't say.
I do. Say a lot of stuff. Get me talking and I don't stop. Woo. Okay. Andrew is floating above us right now. Okay. We have fun here. Yes, we do. Aw, love you too. Aw, thanks. I love your hat. Okay. So, if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's do this. Pile number 2, the father energy. Okay. So, okay, now I'm like again, not knowing what deck that I want. Okay. Interesting. There could have been something to do with an offer, maybe something here about a car. That's so specific. Only take that if it resonates. So Spirit, what would this person do differently? I just heard a lot. This is another person that has a lot of regrets. This is a different energy than pile number 1, but I do feel like this person had another side to themselves that they wish that they would have shown you or integrated. And okay, so for some of you, I actually do feel like this could be a father. Or if it's not that, there's something here about like a role. So this person had some kind of role and they wish that they would have shown you more of their they're like human side. I'm getting goosebumps. They wish that they would have shown you more of their like full human side instead of trying to be the perfect version of whatever role they were trying to portray. And this person has realized since that being a full person makes you better at any role that you're trying to do. I also just heard you're a human being, not a human doing. So I feel like this person was trying to do things perfectly, or they were trying to do all the things. And maybe you could see that or maybe not. But I feel like this person feels like something here got like lost in the balance. They lost sight of what was important is what I'm hearing, and why they did the role in the first place. And I feel like any role that we do, it really comes back to people, right? It comes back to other humans. Like, why do you do your job? Well, to provide a service for other humans, but also like so that you can make money to take care of your family. It all comes back and centers around like humans and our human connections, our human relationships. Oh my gosh, I'm feeling so many goosebumps here. I think this person has really they feel things very intensely, and like this person has maybe even a magical or mystical kind of quality, and they wish that could have come out more, and that things could have been more alive and more dynamic and less superficial. And this might even have been like certain conversations here. This person may have also been going through something on the back end, but that was part of their human experience, and they might have thought that if that leaked over into their role and they let that show, or if they just cried at work, or if they were like, I'm so sorry, then everything would have fallen apart. Like, I feel like maybe this person catastrophizes a lot. It also could go the other way is what I'm hearing too, that maybe this person did let certain emotions kind of leak out, especially if this was a parent, like where this person, like maybe a parent was going through something. It could have even been like a divorce or something, and they used you to kind of stabilize themselves and to parent them. They parentified you in some kind of way. So they wish that they would have blended and integrated more instead of keeping this rigid, like this is for this place and this is for that place, kind of an energy. And they also feel like you would have gotten a more thorough understanding of them, but also like it would have been better, like maybe even like education, whether that's education, like if this is a parent, your parent educates you for life, right? But life, what is life? It's being a person, like as you continue to grow and change and weird shit happens to you. That's what being a person is. But it also could just be an education about themselves and who they are, Okay. There's like a perfection thing maybe with this person. Okay. So what does this person... Oh, I just heard like, what does this person regret? Okay. There could be something here about a car. Maybe they were having car issues, or there was some kind of like car. Yeah, an offer. Car and like an offer keeps coming out. So maybe they wish they would have offered to help you with your car, or, but they just keep roles like so separate or something here. I don't know. Look, yeah, like maybe you were, okay. So car also to me can be a metaphor of like getting from here to there in like short distances. I mean, yeah, maybe long distances too, but like just getting from here to there kind of a thing, and maybe this person wishes that for some of you, this person wishes that they would have helped you more with like money, or, I don't know what your relationship is, because that's not going to apply to everybody, because not for everybody is that, threatening, intimidating. Maybe somebody was threatening you or bothering you, or maybe somebody was like having money problems, or there was some kind of bankruptcy problems, or you were having that, and this person... Oh, yeah. Maybe they wish that they would have helped you get evidence, facts, proof, facts. Oh my gosh, I literally feel like I could cry right now. Because somebody here was like threatening you. And it might not even be a person. It could be like an organization or something. And this person could have helped you get organized, could have helped you get on track, could have staved something off here for you. They're maybe reflecting on like their bad reputation or your bad reputation or something here. Maybe instead of actually giving you practical assistance, this person gave you platitudes on reflecting about your bad reputation. And this person's like, no, you needed some practical, like something, you needed genuine help. Okay. Like if maybe you came to this person for help and really just got like something vague, something just, I don't know. And maybe it was like that this person was trying, it could have been a role thing where they're like, well, I shouldn't overstep my boundary. I do feel this like, well, I don't want to overstep my boundary kind of thing. But for some of these people, it was maybe some kind of tactic. It was like a scarcity tactic. Or you thought that it was a scarcity tactic. This is so many different things for different people. But I think for some, it was like a tactic where they thought if they kept you depleted and needy, or if you had to deal with things, that you would be weakened and therefore needy and dependent on them, or that you would come crawling back or something. It's a bad habit. Yeah. Also for some of you, this is so like the millennial avocado toast thing where you were having an actual problem. They were like, stop eating avocado toast. And you were like, no, that's not really the issue here. There's like, feels like there's some kind of like actual problem. And this person was not addressing the problem. Either within themselves or elsewhere. Yeah, always partying. Or this person like regrets not seeing that in you, that there was a reason that you were always partying. And it's because you were like bankrupt and there was no real solutions for you or something here. Okay, so let me get a different deck. Okay, yeah, tower moment. I feel like there was a tower moment here where this person kind of like realized the truth. Okay, for some of you though, maybe this goes the other way and somebody here is recognizing that some boundaries were needed to be held like between roles. And maybe somebody here was acting out, like trying to get attention or something, trying to like break you out of a role and it was inappropriate. So I don't know, take this however it resonates, but there's something here to do with like roles and like, or maybe for some of you, like if you guys work together, then part of this like sharing your humanness, like this person could have pushed a boundary with you like at work where you're like, no, we're not that way here. Please don't put me in a bad position. Like if you really actually want to be my friend, you have to see the full me. You have to see me in my position, that I have to function and be effective here. And so do you. And we'll do that here. And then we'll hang out after work, kind of a thing. Okay. So tell me about pile number 2, Spirit. What would pile number 2 do differently? Oh yeah. For some of them, they would have gotten out of some kind of bad habit and they would have gotten away from some like group that was having a negative influence here. Again, it feels kind of like codependency and maybe again, like always partying, not being responsible. Somebody here was like not being responsible. They were always partying and they could have watched you walk away here as well too. Like, because this was too much. For some of you, I feel like you were asked to clean up somebody's mess here. I'm hearing mother, and that wasn't your role. Yeah, like for some of these people, they thought that there could have been something here of like, I'm going to keep making mess emotionally and otherwise. And that's how I get attention, is like, you're going to have to come clean up my room kind of a thing, metaphorically. And some of you got fed up with that and walked away and you went after your own independence and your own healing and things like that. What else would this person... Okay, yeah, for some of you, you transformed. Like you left this situation because something here was like not budging, or it was like not fair, because either somebody was expecting you to be a role that you're not in their life. And I feel like maybe this is twofold. It's because they're refusing to... Okay, so I had an epiphany the other day, because I used to work with some troublesome kids, and I love those kids, to be honest, because I was always like the goody little two shoes, and I learned so much from those kids. And there's this one experience. So it had snowed and I was pulling up for work and nobody had plowed yet because I got to work really early, and I was trying not to park in front of anybody's driveway because we had to park on a residential street, and I could see that there was like a mailbox. So I knew that there was a driveway like here, but I didn't realize it was like a horseshoe driveway. So I accidentally parked in front of somebody's driveway, went in, and then I get a call from the police department that I had to like move my car. I went running out there, and I had my husband's car at the time, which had like his work number on the side of it. And it was like this whole big hullabaloo. They're like, they were trying to get a hold of you. And the police officer was like, did you try calling the number on the side? And then like, so that's how they called me, and I just came right out and moved it. So I didn't get in trouble or anything like that. But the people that I parked in front of their house, they were so hostile with me. I was so just apologetic. I absolutely didn't mean to. And they were just so mean and hostile, and they were insisting that I get a ticket and everything. And so after I kind of wrapped things up with the police officer, because he sent them inside and was like, I mean, you came right out here, just, now you know, and everything. I went on my lunch break, because this was all happening on my lunch break, and I went and I got a box of chocolates, my passive aggressive ass, and I wrote like, I'm sorry, and I tried to give them the chocolates to just say again like how sorry I was. So I go back inside to these kids who they all kind of struggle, like they're hotheads and they punch things and they throw things and everything, but just the sweetest little people, really on the inside, just having lived through, a lot of these kids have lived through like a lot of hard stuff. And I'm really relaying the story because they all knew that I had to run out to my car and everything. And they're asking me how it went and stuff. And all of them were kind of surrounding me, and they were like, you did what? You did what? You bought the people that were yelling at you chocolates. You missed your lunch. You didn't have to, what? And like, I kind of learned something from that like I felt like I needed to play this role of like this, like nice person, and that was going to switch people around. And like, I feel like there's something here like that where, it's like, I don't know, maybe if you have that codependent kind of quality, because I would never do that now, never. But like, I genuinely needed a bunch of 12-year-olds to tell me that was ridiculous. I don't know. It's like something here like that where you maybe just kind of wised up to like, this is, because it feels swampy and codependent and like emotionally like a mess, like clean up my mess. Like, so somebody here might have just been like kind of cleaning up that mess, but it feels like you got up out of that and walked away, and then you kind of transformed up out of that. And that somebody here might have been talking shit about it, and it was because they were feeling insecure. I have no idea why I just told you that story. I was going somewhere with it. There was something that I wanted to click back in, but I completely lost it. But I feel like somebody here was just like, I don't know, maybe talking shit, but it's 4 of Pentacles where they felt like, yeah, and maybe they tried to start an argument, or they wanted to start an argument, but instead of just like looking at the truth here of the situation, because I feel like maybe you like walked away from that. Don't waste chocolate, my book. Nice. So, and I gotta say, maybe this is relevant here, because one of the things I really loved about those kids, and I learned, is there's something so beautiful about a spirit that just, even if it's rebelling, like kind of in the wrong ways, like they just don't let themselves, like if they feel a certain way, they're ready to fight for themselves. Like I don't have that at all. And yeah, it was out of balance for them, but like, there's something beautiful about the human spirit that just kind of refuses to back down, kind of a thing. So I don't know. Okay. What else would this person change here? Bless your enemy. It's in the Bible. Yeah. I also had this book. It was called Flowers for Mrs. Dodd. And I had that when I was a kid, and I read that book a lot when I was a kid. Mrs. Dodd was this kind of like old biddy, and she was kind of like grouchy, but the little girl brings her a flower, and it just like completely transforms her. And there's a part of me that still believes that still believes like, if I bring you chocolates, you're going to completely transform. If I bring you a flower, you're going to completely transform. So maybe this person regrets. So this might be a harder one where like if somebody here is like kind of immovable, there could be somebody here that was just like flagellating themselves on the altar because that's what they thought that they were supposed to do. Like I thought that I was supposed to sacrifice myself on my lunch break to go get chocolates, and you're not. And someone really should have taught me that earlier. But I'm a girl, and I grew up in Christianity and in the Midwest in the United States. And so there's just this whole cultural identity around like what girls are supposed to be. And it really just left me out to be abused, to be honest, like, and taken advantage of, and to have days like that where I'm not making sure that I eat lunch and I have blood sugar problems, yeah. And so I feel like somebody's had to transform up out of that instead of, this feels like, again, a family disease, like a group disease, a group illness, a family illness. And so maybe there is like, even like certain people who have taken on different roles, like, those kids are like the fighters, but I'm like the lover. And like, we all aren't integrating ourselves because there's like a family or like a group or community illness where we're all developing into certain ways. And then we become codependent. We rely on each other for to do these certain things instead of kind of integrating and exploring different facets of ourselves and learning how to do those things for ourselves, kind of a thing. This is kind of a confusing one, to be honest. Because I kind of feel like one side of things is like illuminated and the other isn't. That was Luna on the counter. But yeah, so something beautiful about the spirit of any creature, or even our non-human humans, that like, you know, she's going to get in the sink. She just is. Okay. But yeah. So, cause I feel like one is like, so what was that?
Don't worry about it.
Oh no. Was it the gift?
Don't worry about it now.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. Yeah, so I feel like there's somebody here that's like illuminated. And so I feel like it's you from walking away because you started to realize these like certain patterns. But I think I'm not really getting a lot actually from somebody here because they're still kind of shrouded in darkness about their part, because I think somebody here is feeling kind of maybe, I don't know, egotistical about, it feels like the broader dynamics. So remember in pile number 1, how that person was like, and this, and they're kind of like able to kind of connect all of like the dots to the underpinning of what seemed like a singular problem. There's somebody here that can't really do that quite yet. And they are like immovable, and it might be because of their role or, something here like that. Oh, yeah, and I think that they were still trying to offer some kind of cup, and like, isn't this like the higher way or the best way or something? And somebody here is feeling like, no. And then like, I'm learning and I have to like move forward. So I think they regret the way that things turned out here and how stubborn, like this feels gridlocked to me. Something about this feels like very, very gridlocked because one person's kind of doing the work, and I don't think it'll be like this forever. So we could just be looking at this person as like in a certain time period, like a certain snapshot where somebody here has started to move. So things are going to start to change here. Like, you know, the rocks are going to start to shift and like break and settle here. It kind of feels like there's curse breaker energy here, like family curse breaker, where somebody here's moved because somebody here is recognizing like the bigger patterns. And so somebody here might want to make amends, but they don't really know how, because somebody's like learning, one person is learning what amends is, and they're kind of learning that they kind of just need to stand up for themselves is what it feels like, and like leave. Because there's some kind of fucked up, there's a fucked up group here, and it's soupy as well. Like it's soupy and it's like emotional, and it's creating mess in order to get mommy's attention is what it feels like. So somebody could have tried to make you their mommy here. And this is you walking away. But there's still love here, and it's like, why don't you come back? And it's like, I can't come back to you and this group or whatever this is, because that means coming back to dynamics that are sick. And so I think somebody here does want to be like, well, I'm sorry. And I do think that they kind of recognize something here about a role or a dynamic or something, but they're still held tight to it in some kind of way, maybe. And somebody here's kind of released it in order to heal their own heart. It also could be that if there's some kind of, something here about this, like, so if this is like a woman that's a leader, you know, because we have the father, which I'm kind of getting like as the emperor card. So if there was like a woman who was supposed to be in like a leadership role, then there's a group here that wouldn't allow her that role, you know? And they kept causing messes, trying to turn her into their mother and make her responsible for their emotions and for their messy rooms and for their messy behaviors and stuff. And she's like really not, and she can't go back there, even though it feels like maybe there's a lot of love here, but they tortured her under the guise of love. There's someone like fucked up, like just dynamics here, but it feels like there's a lot of love, and it's like, why don't you come back? And it's like, because it's ill. Yeah, somebody here may have had to go to a doctor or like a therapist or something to heal their heart or to unpack it. And I do feel like somebody here is seeing it from a higher perspective, but it's just mental at this point. Like it's just mental. And they're seeing like a joy and a happiness, and I feel like they're seeing a wish fulfillment, but it's not a revelation for this person yet about like, oh, something's messed up about the way that we do things. So I think somebody here is like, well, why couldn't we keep this person? Why couldn't we keep them happy? But they're seeing this person kind of go and bloom, and they needed to. So it's like they need to ask themselves why this person had to leave, because they did have to leave, you know? Look, so that the inner could come out to the outer, because I feel like there's something messed up about a group here that's just so toxic and emotionally, it feels like Eeyore, just emotionally sticky, and like, regardless of how they come across, like in conversation or anything, there's something like polluted, like in the water, in the emotional energy, and possibly to do with like money or something. And this person was like kind of drowning in it, thinking that it was their problem, and that they were the problem, and that they needed to kind of clean everything up. And so that was kind of an illusion. But then I feel like they came out of the dark night of the soul and now they're expressing themselves, and now they can express like their inner self and actually fully step into that energy. And it feels like a genuine masculine energy, and they're getting some kind of wish fulfillment. And it's supposed to be a wake-up call here to somebody else. So what would they do differently? Somebody here would leave much sooner. And they wouldn't give themselves such a hard time that they don't have, that they're not seen. Because it feels like somebody here is not seen. Or they're not allowed to be a full presentation of themselves. And they're staying in these kind of like halfling codependent dynamics because that's the ego, right? That's the false self. Oh, I'm this, or I'm the person who shows up with chocolates, when I should be having my own lunch break. So this person's like, I have to take care of myself. I have to put my own oxygen mask on first. They wish that they would have realized that sooner, because I feel like this person was actually giving themselves quite a hard time. I must be the fucked up one. There's a group here that kind of reinforces that to this person. Yeah, you are fucked up. You are the reason you're responsible for my emotions in some way. And they're not. And this isn't healthy. And this other group though, like, because there's more than one person a part of that. And it does feel like there's some kind of leader here that might be actually misogynistic or racist or like something here. They've got like a rigid worldview that's like divides people into categories and then like ranks them based on some kind of arbitrary hierarchy. Well, it's not arbitrary. I mean, it's like socializing, like cultural socializing or whatever. But there's a cling to that here as well. And so, like I said, these people may have certain little things. Like, I wish that I would have helped you with your car, or made you some kind of offer, or talked more openly about my this or that. But it's not cohesive. This is a group where there's still a fragment here. And I think it's going to take some time for there to be some healing. So, okay. That's pile number 2 of what they wish they would do differently here. Has me pouring back into me. Emily, hey. Thank you so much for the super chat. Deeply resonates, both piles so far. Nice. So hopefully when we read the Codependent No More, that's going to be helpful too. Okay, I'm just going to put this up here. If you're just joining us, hi, welcome. What a great time. We just finished pile number 2 and we're moving into pile number 3. I was going to drink that rose water. Oh my gosh.
What a great time.
He clearly enjoys my affection for him. Good. Let it in. It's free, but it's not free. Yeah. On point. Nice. Now you're tapped into my toxic former workplace. Effed up group. Crabs in a bucket. Crabs in a bucket. Tarot readings like yours helped me a lot. Good. I'm so glad. Tarot has helped me so much too. I was just thinking about that. How tarot has just helped me understand life so much. And I'm just so grateful for that. Okay. I'm going to compassion. Compassion. And gloss. Little compassion and gloss never hurt anybody. I've been wearing my hoodie a lot more because I haven't been wearing it. For those of you that like got that merch of like the lip gloss, because when I ordered it, they sent me the wrong color, and it wasn't even a color that like we even had the shirt in, and I was trying to get that fixed and I never did. But actually, it's kind of grown on me, the color that they sent. So I've been wearing that more around the house. So much misogyny in today's live. What's so funny about this is when I was walking away from the pile 2 person, I started reading Codependent No More, and it massively changed how I saw the dynamic and helped me fully leave. That is so crazy. I love stuff like that. Such confirmation. My guides do that to me all the time. Like, I'm always telling Alex, because like it's like, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. Like they kind of mess up the timeline or like the order of operations where like something will kind of come in and it'll pique up my interest, and then like I'll have a full fruition experience or something where I'm like, oh, like, and I think it's just to let me know that I'm not alone, because I have a lot of resentment over feeling like I just got marooned here on this space rock that is deeply unpleasant, and it's supposedly a growing experience, but why is there so much suffering in the world? And we're supposed to think that that's love, and how do we know that that's not God just like kind of being a messed up parent, and saying, oh, well, I'm just doing it because I love you. And that's why you live in a world where there's death and disease and torture and, war and, What color is my special hoodie? It's a sky blue, like with the lips, but I wanted it to be like the seafoam green. And I really was excited about that, but I'm over it. Well, same here. All right. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go into pile number 3, the mountain. Okay. So what would they do differently? Oh, wow. Okay, I feel like this person, I'm hearing like I would have stayed out of it for like longer. This might be like a leadership oriented person, but I feel like this person would have like, they would have stopped, paused, thought about something here, like reflected and tried to see it from like a higher perspective. They wouldn't have like been so quick to act or like take sides or anything. They would have gone like internally. I feel like there's something here where it does connect to like, look, there's like a fire in the background. So like maybe some kind of fire emotions like anger or like schmexuality or something. But I think for a lot of you, it might have been like anger, either their own anger or somebody else's anger. Like if this is a decision maker of some kind and somebody here came to them with like some kind of fiery emotions, there's something about the fire that feels engulfing, like in a way, obviously like it's engulfed in flames, right? That's what we say. But okay, so if I showed up to a room that was on fire, the entire room is covered in fire and all I can see is fire. So I feel like all somebody here could see was emotions, either theirs or like somebody came to them and was like very angry and really like they needed to put out the fire in order to figure out what started the fire, you know? Like they do like the forensic where they figure out like, was the oven left on? Was there a spark in the electric? Like what caused the fire? And I just heard, we didn't start the fire. It was on when burning and the world was burning. So, because I feel like somebody here could have even said like, well, I didn't start the fire or we didn't start the fire, but they did. They had some kind of like part in it and they didn't want to own that. And so somebody here could have like kind of been engulfed in flames as well, like gotten taken over by somebody's anger here. Or it could have been their own anger where they're like, I wish that I would have just stopped, paused, reflected, gotten to the bottom of it and stayed out of it, you know, because that's what it feels like with the coolness of the mountain, like remained like dignified or stoic or just something here like that. The bayou, hey, my pile. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so yeah, like that's in order to like kind of get to the truth here with this Aletheia card and also like the black and whiteness, because it's not like so black and white. So this person's like, I wish that I would have like sorted out the nuance and started to pull certain things, especially cause and effect is what I'm getting, because there's something here about this fire energy where again it's like all consuming and mentally consuming as well when you feel angry or when somebody else is angry. And so I feel like this person was like, if this was somebody that came to this person, they were trying to like capitulate this person. Oh, okay. And they felt that the only way that they could capitulate this person is to just do whatever they were demanding. So like in the face of these people's like rage or something here, they just felt that they didn't question it at all. They didn't, it feels like a blindness here. And they just accepted their version of events because it was so intense and maybe because it seemed like an emergency or something here as well too. So let's see. I don't want to. Okay, it could have had to do with gossip as well. They wish that this person wishes that they would have remained like separate, and because they might be older or they might be wiser or they're like, then what was going on here? They think that they should have been either because of their role. Maybe for some of you, this has some kind of tie into pile number 2, but like either because for some of this person is the mountain. And I just heard from Mulan, no matter how the wind may howl, the mountain cannot bow to it. So I feel like this person's like, well, I'm the mountain and I'm not supposed to bow. I shouldn't have bowed to it so easily. That's why I'm the mountain, you know, like that's why I'm the leader or that's why I'm the this or that's why I'm the that. I should, for a moment in time while I'm at work and when things kind of kick up, because things don't always kick up at work unless you are like a firefighter or, you know, you work in some kind of emergency field or something. Like, but when it kicks up, I should be able to handle that. And I should be this kind of movable force kind of thing, you know? But yeah, so they wish that they would have really separated themselves out, made up their own opinion, allowed things to kind of cool down, maybe even like walked outside to get some fresh air for things to kind of cool down here. Yeah, and they would have seen things differently. This person really regrets not seeing things from a different perspective and possibly not even pursuing seeing things from a different perspective. If this is a leader and they're not pursuing, like it feels like there was no investigation, there was no like, I think this person might be very mad because they're recognizing what was happening now. They see it differently. This person sees it entirely differently. Okay, so... They also could have been focused on the wrong person. There could have been like something here could have been framed or set up in a way that this person didn't understand. What does this person regret here? Or what would they do differently? Oh, yeah. Just accepting the boys will be boys concept without question. That kind of shuts down an inquiry, doesn't it? You know, if it's like, oh, boys will be boys, that sounds like it's, I don't know. It doesn't really sound profound to me, but it's like, it sounds like an answer in and of itself, but it's just not. And it stops any kind of like inquisition process here. Yeah, the truth.
It's an excuse.
It's an excuse. Yeah. That seems like an explanation. It seems like an excuse. It sounds like an explanation. Yeah, there's something here about explanation and excuse. It seems like an excuse. Or no, it seemed like an explanation, but really it's just an excuse. And they wish that they would have pushed harder, either within themselves or maybe there is something here, boys will be boys. Yeah, okay. Like this person also feels like they should have held up the sword of truth, like compared to this like 5 of swords energy. Because the 5 of swords energy is a very, very low vibrational card. And it's somebody who's trying to use their strength. And I feel like somebody here has like a mental strength or like a mental agility here. Yeah, but it's devil energy. To make somebody, to bait somebody into some kind of impulsivity. So this person feels baited into some kind of impulsivity. Rachel, thank you so much for the super chat. Thanks for all you do. Thank you. Yeah, I feel like because this person could have gotten like baited into a rage. They could have seen something or somebody came to them with rage, but yeah, like maybe with some kind of like message, or it was meant to kind of like it was meant to stop somebody from like naturally just observing, because it's air stuff. So they wish that they would have just observed with a clear head. They needed to like get things down and observe with a clear head. Because yeah, for some, they could have tried. It's either this person or somebody that they were dealing with was like strategizing and like they think themselves or back themselves into some kind of corner. And that corner may have been some kind of like karmic relationship or contract that they didn't want. It's binding, whatever it is. It was like, it feels like a short action to get involved with somebody or something here, or to blame somebody here or something here. And, maybe they made you the mountain where now like you had to be the bigger person in the room and now you just gray rock them because you think that they're a narcissist, but maybe they just hang out with narcissists or they took the word of a narcissist and they did that by being impulsive and kind of playing right into somebody's hands here instead of like being level-headed. There's a lot here about being alone, being independent. So for some, this person regrets not being single, being independent, developing some kind of like inner wisdom, connecting with their inner world more. This person was mad about something. What was this person mad about? What was this person mad about? The Empress, the 8 of Swords, 9 of Wands. They were mad, but they were also defensive. They could have thought that like you were living off the fat of the land or something, like that there you were like kind of lounged back and like that you were keeping somebody else in a state of disempowerment or something here like that. But actually it was like, that was not true. Dang, for some of you, this person could have really brought the hammer down. Look, Tower, like they saw something here and it like enraged them. Yeah, and Spirit could have split. Like they had a choice. This person's kind of realizing that they had a choice. Or maybe they saw something here. It's Gemini. Okay, because I just saw the Lover's card. So it has to do with the Lover's card energy. So it has to do with like a choice or a relationship. Or it's Gemini energy. It's Sun and Gemini energy. So that's like, it's splitting energy. So it could be that they heard a message and it gave, oh, I get it. It gave like a much different impression. Oh, okay. So there was some kind of, and I think this maybe happened 2 times. And that could have been, because maybe they were seeing you or something here as like the Empress. Everything's like so beautiful. Then they heard something else and it kind of split that away. That seemed like, or they saw something else. But it was a part of a plan here because somebody here is like narcissistic or very childish or just, they don't take responsibility for their own inner world. And they just, so instead they project out onto things. So these are unreliable narrator or narrators that are going on here. So that could have like, kind of split them and they were enraged because they thought that you were like hiding something, or it was the other way where this person, like when they, they heard something that made them realize that you were like disempowered, and actually there was like a lot of lies being told. I feel like it's happened twice. I feel like if it went one way, it's gone back the other way now, which is why this person wishes they have regrets and they would do things differently. They would have explored their options here, and they would have dug around a little more. It feels like for some of you there was like no investigation here. There was no like thought of perhaps this is not true. Like the old adage, even like the basics of like the old adage, there's three sides to every situation, your side, my side, and the truth. Like it feels like that was like not even applied here. Even if you don't think that, okay, some people are troubled and they project, and that's like part of a natural, even if you don't know that much, about human nature, you tend to know that there's always, multiple sides, and you should like kind of open that up, kind of a thing. But okay, so what else does this person regret? I do think this person kind of feels some shame and anxiety here. They regret that maybe you felt anxiety, or somebody did here that didn't get justice. Like there's not justice done. And they also have, like, this is Libran energy. Like they also regret not doing their due diligence in conversation, balancing out both sides of the story. Maybe having a direct one-on-one conversation. There could have been like a group here. This is also reminding me of police investigations where they never interview like the entire group. They take people off one by one, and they ask like, certain kinds of questions here. So they could regret not doing that. They could regret not speaking to you, not being direct, not being fair, not having fairness in mind, or taking this to a superior. They also regret not taking something to a superior, or some kind of higher wisdom. What else, Spirit? Is there anything else that this person regrets? Jane, thank you so much for the super chat. Number one fan with the avocado. Okay, I'm getting like a picture. Like I just saw off like a flashbulb, but it was like this 2-dimensional picture, and again, it's like a black and white image. So like it was like some kind of still shot, and I kind of feel like there's something here about this. They could have cleared the air about something here. There was like a picture that was painted, or like a picture, like some kind of snapshot, but it feels like it wasn't, because when you just have the picture, you don't see somebody moving in context, where this actually might make so much sense if it was like in context. So, but it feels like it's, a picture is like evidence, it's like incriminating evidence or something here, or they didn't like, like, it feels like, I don't know, this person just didn't do a lot. What does this person what do they regret? I keep almost asking that. So what does this person regret? They regret that something didn't come up here. Something didn't come up here. Something didn't grow here. They invested a lot in a wrong situation. So it feels like this person kind of did something towards you, but it also like snowballed back and affected them in some way. I don't think it's necessarily like a correlation. So correlation does not equal causation. I don't think it's a causal thing, like what they did to you. I think it's because this person doesn't investigate. This person doesn't like, I don't know. They're kind of easily led and misled. And so I think that is why this person, something didn't come up for them. They are really sorry. What does this person regret? You having to leave. They regret you having to leave, because there was actually a lot of love for you. And they regret you having to leave. They regret. Okay, this person feels that they absolutely had the skill set to be able to do this and to do this right. And they feel like you also have, so they see you like this. Like that you're very benevolent, you're very balanced, and actually very beautiful. But they also, there's magician energy here. So there could have been some kind of manipulation about that. Because this can be a dangerous situation here. Entitlement, I just am hearing. And yeah, it even could be like you were very giving. Okay, so I just saw this. There's this lady in her community. So here in America, things have been crazy. You might have heard. But so they didn't know if like SNAP was going to be funded. And so everybody did really kind of kick into gear. Like we took some cans down and people were donating money and everything. Well, there's this one woman who has a heart of gold, and she organized like a food bank event like in her community. And she was very proud of the work that she did. She got like several different kinds of meat, good stuff too. Like she got different kinds of cereals. And I guess usually when you go to a food bank, a lot of times they just hand you a box, and it's meant to be like supplemental, so that you can kind of look at what you have, and then it's not meant to be like the entirety of your meal. It's meant to kind of supplement what you might already have in your pantry, or what money you are going to spend. But if you get the box first, then you know what you have, and then you can kind of like go based on that. So it's meant to be this like help, this kind of supplement. But she didn't just give them the pre-made box. She gave them a box, and they could get like one meat and like everything. They could pick the things that they wanted, so that they had a little bit more dignity. But everybody was like ripping her into shreds. Not everybody, but like a few very loud people were complaining that they could only get one meat, but then actually they ended up running out of meat. So some people were complaining that they didn't get any meat at all. So you could tell she was trying to like manage the resources well. But this woman who did a very beautiful thing, and honestly, it was so well thought through, and it came from such a good place, and she was very skillful. She's the one getting blamed and nitpicked apart for somehow not doing things like, well, good enough. And like some of these people who are making these like complaint videos, it's like they were going through their boxes, and I'm like, that looks like a actually pretty well balanced meal. And they would also say things that were like really off point, like how is this supposed to last me for an entire month? But like a lot of food banks give things out weekly. It's not meant to last you an entire month, So they would get things like entirely off base. And instead of correcting those things and say, well, this is meant to be supplemental, we're doing the best that we can. Food banks aren't very well funded. They are run off of donations of like kind of random foods that people have. And we try to compile them together in order to make sure that everybody has enough calories. We're just able to do what we can do, instead of like reframing it like that. Because somebody here, again, I feel like somebody had the skill set and the verbiage, and they had the knowledge to be able to say things like that. And maybe there was like an issue of resources. This may have just been a matter of education, but it like blew up and into this like big thing where it's like, okay, well, for some of you, maybe money was an issue, where it's like, okay, well, on this project, we only have a certain amount of dollars. So we can't do everything to make it perfect. And life is kind of like that, right? So we have to do priorities and blah, blah, blah. And you're actually really good at that. And maybe for some of you, it's like, that's why we have leaders, and that's why we have people who are good with money and accounting and budgets and things, is to try to stretch our money as far as it can go. So it feels like somebody should have explained the basics of life, and that we live in a finite reality and things are kind of constricted, but that's not a person's shortcomings. That was not her shortcomings. That's a matter of, you need your perspective adjusted, and you should probably learn to say thank you, Thank you so much, Lauren. Speaking of saying thank you for the super chat. So let me just I gotta block this person. Sorry. Okay. So I feel like this was just a matter of like education and having a conversation, but skillfully with the magician, because the magician considers things, right? Because it has all the suits on the table. It has the pentacle so I feel like there's something like the picture, the black and white picture, because something here wasn't as simple as somebody was painting it. They were painting it as like black and white, or like good, bad, and I want it wasn't that way. And somebody here is like, I know how well this works in a well-rounded sense, and I should have explored that or explained that. I could have said like, see the pentacles, see the air element, see how, and put it all together. And that should change the way that this picture kind of looks. No, so this person is not sucking and like trying to keep all the meat from you. She's trying to make sure that it stretches as far as it can for as many families and actually she's on point with that. And there actually has been a lot of thought that's gone into this. So, and it feels like you were really misconstrued or misunderstood and villainized and just treated in a black and white way. And actually some of you like needed more credit. You needed to expand in some way. And if this is kind of the classic, if this is a work thing, this is like classic middle management, where like as a middle manager, you get fucked on both ends, because you're the face of the company for everybody below you. And they think that you control the budget and everything else, and that you're not just another cog in the wheel that, has to kind of, you make decisions kind of, but you're really just doing what the shit rolls downhill, as they say, but like the people above are not wanting to be the bad guys, but really they're the ones that control the budgets. And really what they needed to do is say, we only gave her the reason your salary is what it is, because we only gave your manager a certain amount of money. And they also have to go by this or that. And so it's our fault, but they don't want to take that on. So I feel like they maybe just allowed you to get squeezed and fucked over, and that just suited them. Again, the black and white kind of thing. Yeah. To make it seem like you were acting like on your own. Somebody really didn't put things in context, and they were absolutely able to. Talk to the boss. This feels like blame shifting. It feels, yeah. Okay, so what else does this person regret? Anything? Some kind of defensiveness. So it feels like even if this person got kind of called out or like in your presence after the fact, they like got defensive. I actually think this person was maybe in a competitive mindset as well. So this could be like, again, your boss competing with you for the favor of the people, or when actually it's not true leadership. True leadership takes accountability where it needs to. And if something needs to change, then it changes it so that the suffering can stop, right? But it feels like somebody here was really trying to come up with a creative solution to some kind of, problem. They were trying to balance a lot of different things. And that should have been the lens through which everybody's looking at this situation. It doesn't have to be a work situation. This could also be, maybe this is somehow a love situation or a social situation, but it just feels like somebody flattened something really out, like, for a pancake. But yeah, I feel like somebody here was maybe very competitive. They were in some kind of competitive mindset. And that's why they didn't take responsibility here. So it was maybe they were overjoyed. A part of them was just overjoyed when somebody had a problem with you, but you weren't the problem. And I think this might've been a spiritual test. Yeah. Judgment. Look at that. There was some kind of judgment energy going on here to kind of unearth this. I don't think this person knew that they were competitive, because I kind of think that for some of you, this is a person who views themselves as being like removed, maybe, like they don't feel a part of the group. And they maybe feel weird or strange. And so part of them felt included when, people were mad at you. And even though they were way, way off base, they were like, look at me, I'm included. And I'm the rescuer. And like, this feels really good. And plus they were in some kind of competition with you that feels like it was buried or hidden or strategic, or somebody here was. And that's what's being blown out. That's what's like coming up. And I just heard misogynist. So for some of you, maybe there's some misogyny here, because I just, somebody was saying that there's a lot of misogyny here in this, but it doesn't just have to be misogyny. I mean, there could be like some kind of racism or something like classism, like people dividing things up in order to try to compete, like try to, in their mind, put themselves over somebody else for like an arbitrary reason, because it feels like there's actually quite a bit of skill set here. And I think somebody here was maybe thinking that you were very like giving, or that you were the favorite or something here, but you're actually very skillful. And I think that you were, had skills to go up to the next level. But this person, if this is a boss, this is somebody that was going to hold you back. They were going to misconstrue the things that you were doing, because you should have, if this was a healthy company, it feels strongly work, you would be raised up to leadership, and then probably they wouldn't have this weird soupy mess. But that's, yeah, there's a judgment here. There's certain things are being like unearthed. I think this person's having to confront the fact that this was competitive, because they don't see themselves as being competitive. They see themselves as maybe being a dorky nerd that is maybe older than the people that are around them, or again, like more wise or something here, but they're competitive. And I think petulant and impulsive, and they deny that about themselves. So I think that they're having to like really look at that. Yeah, it's like, and they were, I think maybe even secretly enjoying this. Like they were sneaking around here. They were enjoying being part of the group, because they always feel like really different. And they were maybe even enjoying ricocheting this back over to you. Like how does it feel? How does it feel to be on the outside? How does it feel not to be the favorite? This person hates you, but for no reason. And I think that this person, it's just because they're competitive nature. They just hate you for no reason. And they're trying to reverse the roles here. And I don't even think that this person is seen the way that they think that they're seen. And I think it's an absolute choice. I think that this person could talk to you. They could ask about if they think that you're such a favorite socially, or even to like, maybe you're the favorite manager or something like that. Like they could maybe ask you what you do. They could shadow you, or they could, they could give you props, but instead the spirit tested this person. I'm getting that so clearly. Spirit tested this person when somebody came to them with a false allegation or some kind of false accusation. This person, like I said, they know the way that the business runs, and that there's so many different things that go into these like different decisions, or they're an absolute nincompoop and they're not fit for their job. And that's not really what I'm getting here. So they needed to be in the Two of Cups energy with you, and they were not. So I think this person's maybe spending some time alone here. They could have gotten yelled at. There could have been an investigation maybe afterwards, and this person was maybe put in their place, over you leaving, potentially over you leaving. That could have happened here, where somebody here was really pissed. It feels like somebody else in a leadership position was like, what the fuck are you doing? Why is my leader gone? Remember how they were the favorite? Why am I a favorite down? I would love for you to explain that to me, because they clearly can. They clearly can. Judgment. So I feel like for some of you, this person's watching you. Yeah, and they're realizing that this was a betrayal and that they hurt you. This was like aimed at your heart too. You're such a heart-centered person. You don't have to be a heart-centered person at work. It's probably prudent not to be. But I feel like this person's like, oh my God, you were betrayed. And that there was like not the truth here. I also feel like this like I'm hearing double-edged sword. This super sucks because you would never do this to anybody else. I feel like maybe you went down, like you were actually trying to maybe like balance both. Like this, I'm just getting such the metaphor of middle management, where it's like the company has expectations of you and they have goals that they're trying to hit. And as a middle manager, you have to enforce that and assist that whilst also making things habitable for like the people under you. And if you don't have help doing that, like on both sides, but like especially up here, then you can't do that. And people can just be unreasonable with you and then blame everything on you. And it feels like that kind of like pinch. And so I feel like you could have been, again, in that magician energy, trying to explain the balance, trying to explain we only have so many resources. We can't do everything. You do not work at BlackRock Incorporated in the executive suite where you can just blow whatever. That's not the way the world works. And, so we're having to kind of like, and maybe for some of you that was like inappropriate and you needed like backup here, especially if you were in some kind of leadership position, like where people, it could be like overlap with pile number 2, where there's people that are just not allowing somebody here to lead because they have emotional problems. But, or like, yeah, it's like it's a community sickness or a family sickness. And like certain people are expected to be the mothers and they're expected, I'm actually getting that very specifically. Like certain people are expected to be the mothers and those people never get breaks. They don't get paid enough. And that's the way that this company runs. And that's the culture, and it's a shit culture. But maybe you or somebody here was trying to do something about it, but they're just one person. They're just one cog in the wheel, and they're probably not in the executive suite. So, but that's not the way that this was painted, Yeah. And I think for a lot of these people, they're seeing you having success and moving away from this. So like getting a different job. And I feel like you were ambushed here. This feels like some kind of ambush. So this was like firmly in the past, and this does feel like a permanent ending. And there's like tower energy. They might also see that you're angry, or somebody here is angry. It's not them. Like, they're mad at themselves. Okay, because I feel like they're seeing something here and then they're mad at themselves. I feel like they also burned a bridge and ruined a relationship here with you. Maybe they'd like to network with you, but they can't because they burned a bridge because they were just impulsively jumping in with people who have emotional problems or like stupid and they're misrepresenting things and they need the basics. This feels like adults that need the basics, like explained to them. Not that we should necessarily demonize it, but why are you giving voices like that so much power? This is also like, this is the kind of thing where it's like maybe an organization that doesn't back people who they expect to kind of have to be the voice of reason. And then, this feels like, even if this is workplace, this feels like somebody has weird family stuff. Maybe this is a workplace that says that they're a family. And you're like, yeah, so therapy's included, right? Because this shouldn't be. It should not be. Somebody here, they want to say that they're sorry. They may have separated you out they singled you out. They enjoyed it too. I don't want you to forget that. They did enjoy it. But they enjoyed it because they have pain that they don't deal with directly because they feel like ostracized. They feel on the outs. They definitely don't feel like they're succeeding or they don't feel like they're the favorite. But part of it is because they're kind of like blocked off or cold or stoic or something here. And you're actually not that way. I feel like there's a lot of projection here. You might have gotten like two advice or like, if you were like, I'm trying to solve the problem here. Because again, with this balance energy, and it feels again like the middle management, like the needs are not adding up and nobody's helping you. Like that's the problem. Okay. And the problem didn't originate with you. And so you're not going to solve the problem. But you are just the face of the problem now for everybody involved so that they can like join together instead of this is like, why are you suckling at the teat of capitalism? Like that's, what, like, don't you know that they make all the rules? Like, and that I'm just a cog in the wheel too. Like this is class trader energy. This is like not class solidarity is kind of what I'm getting to. There's some element of that here, where it's like, you should be holding those people accountable, okay. Anything else? I feel like things were maybe very balanced and routined, when you were in a certain place and then somebody came in and was like very, very selfish, maybe exactly what you were said to be. Okay. I think like we kind of keep going around in a circle here. This feels like a test to me. This also feels like a big boon energy. If people could have figured this out correctly, like you bring a big boon, but otherwise there's somebody in here that's going to cause a problem. And it's either somebody that they sided with over you, or it's somebody who's going to, after you leave the situation, is going to fill whatever vacuum you left, whether that's a job position or someplace in a social group. And they're going to, I think that's actually going to be a person who is doing the things that you were accused of doing. I don't think that they're very holistic. I think they're probably very selfish, very self-absorbed. They're actually causing the problems that you were accused of, but really we're just a scapegoat for. Scapegoat is coming through. Yeah, I don't think that they've quite gotten to the word scapegoat, but they essentially made you their scapegoat. And there's probably people who regret this on both sides. And so like if these people who I want to say had some type of emotional problem, like it's a fire kind of energy, they couldn't realize like, yeah, they're telling themselves like, I didn't start this fire, you started this fire. Instead of like taking some kind of like, I feel like you were trying to hold these people accountable or something. And maybe you were trying to explain certain things and they have this internal rage and it honestly has nothing to do with you. So they could regret taking this to some kind of like authority here who's frankly like weird and cold and like kind of like blocked out. They're weird. I just feel like this person's like not really in the loop. They don't really know, like they don't know their ass from their elbow, like when it comes to what's going on here. And this situation, it's like very much an outside force. They might regret doing that because they really, I think, need like some kind of emotional assistance, not from you. And then like, I think that there's regrets on both sides here. I feel like this was fumbled both sides. And this leader regrets not doing a proper investigation and not like in the face of this fire, they're like, oh my God, I just have to put the fire out instead of like putting the fire out and then figuring out what started the fire. Cause I think they would have realized that this has nothing to do with you. Maybe these people are genuinely upset for something outside of themselves, but it had to do with like, to use the metaphor of the organization again, it has to do with the overall organization and the overall company structure. And you are not the company structure. Feels like they are actually, so, okay. So that was pile number 3. And are we still going? You guys can still see me? Okay. Cool. So instead of doing the general messages, now we're going to start the book. And it sounds like we're not having any issues here. And you guys can all hear me and you can see me. Talking to trees today. Oh my gosh, yes, so weird. Yeah. I've been waiting for accountability. I realize I'm intentionally not getting it because of weaknesses in others. Yeah. And like, that's something that you have no control over. And like, I don't know, it's kind of a weird way of making yourself responsible if you're like, okay, well, I need you to change so that you can give me my like justice, because you can't be responsible for other people. I can relate to that so much. Das Book. Yes. Okay. So book. All right. We're going to start our book club. And like I said before, I'm just saying this in case people weren't here at the beginning. So we're starting. This is the first time that we've read this. We tried to read it last week, but we didn't. So this is the first time that we're reading Codependent No More by Melody Beattie. It is a bestseller. It's about codependent relationships and dynamics. So it's not just about the codependent itself. It's about dynamics, like one-to-one dynamics, and about like, again, it's like group dynamics, like a family illness is what she calls it. And she starts off talking about alcoholism because that's her journey into understanding what codependency is and that there's a name for it and that it's not healthy and understanding like how it works. But it's not exclusive to alcoholics and families of alcoholics. And I do just want to point out, and I think she does several times in the book, because that's, there's a group called Al-Anon. And so you've probably heard of like, the like Alcoholics Anonymous, but then, I think is Al-Anon Alcoholics Anonymous, but I think it's a different thing. But you can go there if you have these kind of dynamics. Like they also help they help with the codependency as well, because like they say like alcoholism and things like that, it's a family illness. Okay. So basically what I'm trying to say is that if you don't really resonate with this first chapter because it talks a lot about alcoholism, try to hear like the underlying patterns and like the metaphor of it, because she's going to broaden it out into, it just applies to situations where people are kind of like, dramatic, erratic, or like out of control, or everything's kind of like, because codependents have to deal with a lot of like people who are unstable, but can cause a lot of like upheaval just like out of the blue. And that's part of why their pattern kind of solidifies. Okay. So I just wanted to say that if it doesn't click necessarily in the first chapter, just kind of keep listening, because there's so many like good things in here, but also don't let me tell you what to do. Okay. So, Okay. Have a good weekend. Oh, my man just relapsed after being sober since February. I'm so sorry. That's so tough. Okay. Oh, yeah. All right. So here we go. This is, well, actually, am I reading this introduction? Okay. Okay, I'm going to read the introduction. It's short, so I might read the introduction and chapter 1. Okay, so here we go. Introduction. My first encounter with codependence occurred in the early 60s. This was before people, tormented by other people's behavior, were called codependents, and before people addicted to alcohol and other drugs were labeled chemically dependent. Although I didn't know what codependents were, I usually knew who they were. As someone who struggled with alcoholism and addiction, I stormed through life, helping create other codependents. Codependents were a necessary nuisance. They were hostile, controlling, manipulative, indirect, guilt-producing, difficult to communicate with, generally disagreeable, sometimes downright hateful, and a hindrance to my compulsion to get high. They hollered at me, hid my pills, made nasty faces at me, poured my alcohol down the sink, tried to keep me from getting more drugs, wanted to know why I was doing this to them, and asked what was wrong with me. But they were always there, ready to rescue me from self-centered, self-created disasters. The codependents in my life Catherine, thank you so much. The codependents in my life didn't understand me, and the misunderstanding was mutual. I didn't understand me, and I didn't understand them. My first professional encounter with codependence occurred years later in 1976. At that time in Minnesota, addicts and alcoholics had become chemically dependent. Their families and friends had become significant others, and I had become a recovering addict and alcoholic. By then, I also worked as a counselor in the chemical dependency field, that vast network of institutions, programs, and agencies that helps chemically dependent people get well. Because I'm a woman and most of the significant others at the time were women, and because I had the least seniority and none of my coworkers wanted to do it, my employer at the Minneapolis Treatment Center told me to organize support groups for the wives of addicts in the program. I wasn't prepared for this task. I still found codependence hostile, controlling, manipulative, indirect, guilt-producing, difficult to communicate with, and more. In my group, I saw people who felt responsible for the entire world, but they refused to take responsibility for leading and living their own lives. I saw people who constantly gave to others, but didn't know how to receive. I saw people give until they were angry, exhausted, emptied of everything. I saw some give until they gave up. I even saw one woman give and suffer so much that she died of old age and natural causes at 33. She was the mother of 5 children and the wife of an alcoholic who'd been sent to prison for the 3rd time. I worked with women who were experts at taking care of everyone around them, yet these women doubted their ability to care for themselves. I saw mere shells of people racing mindlessly from one activity to another. I saw people pleasers, martyrs, stoics, tyrants, withering vines, clinging vines, and borrowing from H. Sackler's line in his play The Great White Hope, quote, pinched up faces, giving off the miseries. Most codependents were obsessed with other people. With great precision and detail, they could recite long lists of other people's needs and long lists of other person's deeds and misdeeds, what they thought, felt, did, and said. Doesn't that sound like us? Oh my God. What they thought, felt, did, and said. Well, let me just say that sounds like me. And what they didn't think, feel, do, and say. The codependents knew what the other person should and shouldn't do, and they wondered extensively why they did or didn't do it. Yet these codependents who had such great insight into others couldn't see themselves. They didn't know what they were feeling, they weren't sure what they thought, and they didn't know what, if anything, they could do to solve their problems, if indeed they had any problems other than the other person. It was a formidable group, these codependents. They were aching, complaining, and trying to control everyone and everything but themselves. And except for a few quiet pioneers in family therapy, many counselors, including me, didn't know how to help them. The chemical dependency field was flourishing, but help focused on the addicted person. Literature and training on family therapy were scarce. What did codependents need? What did they want? Weren't they just an extension of the alcoholic, a visitor to the treatment center? Why couldn't they cooperate instead of always making problems? The alcoholic had an excuse for being so crazy. He was drunk. These significant others had no excuse. They were this way sober. I soon subscribed to 2 popular beliefs. These crazy codependents, significant others, are sicker than the alcoholics. And no wonder the alcoholic drinks. Who wouldn't with a crazy spouse like that? I just want to pause here because I remember when I first read this and I was like, ouch, this hurts so bad. But she kind of brings this back around because her entry point into this was being an alcoholic first and then realizing she was codependent second. So this is kind of like her journey of kind of realizing this about herself. And if you feel like, oh my God, just know that she comes around, recognizing how all of this kind of works. Okay. By then, I had been sober for a while. I was beginning to understand myself, but I didn't understand codependency. I tried, but I couldn't, until years later when I became so caught up in the chaos of my alcoholic that I stopped living my own life. I stopped thinking. I stopped feeling positive. And I was left with rage, bitterness, hatred, fear, depression, helplessness, despair, and guilt. At times, I wanted to stop living. I had no energy. I spent most of my time worrying about people and trying to figure out how to control them. I couldn't say no to anything but fun activities if my life depended on it, which it did. My relationships with friends and family members were in shambles. I felt terribly victimized. I lost myself, and I didn't know how it happened. I didn't know what had happened. I thought I was going crazy, and I thought shaking a finger at my alcoholic, it's his fault. Sadly, aside from myself, nobody knew how bad I felt. My problems were my secret. Unlike the alcoholic, I wasn't going around making big messes and expecting someone to clean up after me. In fact, next to the alcoholic, I looked good. I was so responsible, so dependable. Sometimes I wasn't sure I had a problem. I knew I felt miserable, but I didn't understand why my life wasn't working. After floundering in despair for a while, I began to understand. Like many people who judge others harshly, I realized I had just taken a very long and painful walk in the shoes of those I had just judged. I'm just saying, I judge people harshly. You guys already know that about me. I now understood those crazy codependents. I had become one. Gradually, I began to climb out of my black abyss. Along the way, I developed a passionate interest in the subject of codependency. As a counselor and a writer, my curiosity was provoked. I also had a personal stake in the subject. What happens to people like me? How does it happen? Why? Most important, what do codependents need to do to feel better and to stay that way? I talked to counselors, therapists, and codependents. I read a few available books on the subject and related topics. I reread the basics, the therapy books that have stood the test of time, looking for ideas that applied. I went to meetings of Al-Anon, a self-help group based on the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, but geared toward the person who has been affected by another person's drinking. Eventually, I found what I was seeking. I began to see, understand, and change. My life started working again. Soon I was conducting another group for codependents at another Minneapolis treatment center, but this time I had a vague notion of what I was doing. I still found codependents hostile, controlling, manipulative, and indirect. I still saw all the peculiar twists of personality I previously saw, but I saw deeper. I saw people who were hostile. They had felt so much hurt that hostility was their only defense against being crushed again. They were angry because anyone who had tolerated what they had would be that angry. They were controlling because everything around and inside them was out of control. Always the dam of their lives and the lives of those around them threatened to burst and spew harmful consequences on everyone, and nobody but them seemed to notice or care. I saw people who manipulated because manipulation appeared to be the only way to get anything done. I worked with people who were indirect because the systems they lived in and seemed incapable of tolerating honesty. I worked with people who thought they were going crazy because they had believed so many lies they didn't know what reality was. I saw people who had gotten so absorbed in other people's problems that they didn't have time to identify or solve their own. These were people who had cared so deeply and often destructively about other people that they had forgotten how to care about themselves. The codependents felt responsible for so much because the people around them felt responsible for so little. They were just taking up the slack. I saw hurting, confused people who needed comfort, understanding, and information. I saw victims of alcoholism who didn't drink but were nonetheless victimized by alcohol. I saw victims struggling desperately to gain some kind of power over their perpetrators. They learned from me and I learned from them. Soon, I began to subscribe to some new beliefs about codependency. Codependents aren't crazier or sicker than alcoholics, but they hurt as much or more. They haven't cornered the market on agony, but they have gone through their pain without the anesthetizing effects of alcohol or other drugs or other high states achieved by people with compulsive disorders. And the pain that comes from loving someone who's in trouble can be profound. Quote, the chemically dependent partner numbs the feelings and the non-abuser is doubled over in pain, relieved only by anger and occasional fantasies, wrote Janet Geringer Wojcicki. Sorry, Janet. In an article from the book Codependency, an Emerging Issue. Codependents are that way sober because they went through what they did sober. No wonder codependents are crazy. Who wouldn't be after living with the people they've lived with? It's been difficult for codependents to get the information and practical help they need and deserve. It's tough enough to convince people who struggle with compulsive disorders to seek help. It's more difficult to convince people who struggle with codependency, those who by comparison look but don't feel normal, that they have problems. Codependents suffered in the backdrop of the afflicted person. If they recovered, they did that in the background too. For many years, counselors like me didn't know what to do to help them. Sometimes codependents were blamed, sometimes they were ignored, sometimes they were expected to magically shape up an archaic attitude that has not worked with alcoholism and doesn't help with codependency either. Sorry, I have that attitude beaten into me from my Midwestern upbringing. I'm so sorry if I've passed that along to you. Rarely were codependents treated as individuals who needed help to get better. Rarely were they given a personalized recovery program for their problems and their pain. Yet by its nature, alcoholism and other compulsive disorders turn everyone affected by the illness into victims. People who need help even if they're not drinking, using other drugs, gambling, overeating, or overdoing a compulsion. That's why I wrote this book. It grew out of my research, my personal and professional experiences, and my passion for the subject. It's a personal and in some places prejudiced opinion. I'm not an expert, and this isn't a technical book for experts. Whether the person you've let yourself be affected by struggles with substance abuse, gambling, eating disorders, or sex addiction, whether they are a rebellious teenager, a neurotic parent, another codependent, or any combination of the above, this book is for you, the codependent. This book is not about how you can help another person, although if you get better, their chance of recovery improves too. This book is about your most important and probably most neglected responsibility, taking care of yourself. It's about what you can do to start feeling better. I've compiled some of the best, most helpful information on codependency. I've also included quotes and stories to show how real people dealt with real codependency problems. Although I've changed names and certain details to protect privacy, all of the stories are true and not composites. A friend, Scott Eagleson, who is a professional in the mental health field, told me a therapy fable. He heard it from someone who heard it from someone else. It goes, once upon a time, a woman moved to a cave in the mountains to study with a guru. She wanted, she said, to learn everything there was to know. The guru supplied her with stacks of books and left her alone so she could study. Every morning, the guru returned to the cave to monitor the woman's progress. In his hand, he carried a heavy wooden cane. Each morning, he asked her the same question. Have you learned everything there is to know yet? Each morning, her answer was the same. No, she said, I haven't. The guru would then strike her over the head with his cane. This scenario repeated itself for several months. One day, the guru entered the cave, asked the same question, heard the same answer, and raised his cane to hit her in the same way, but the woman grabbed the cane from the guru, stopping his assault in midair. Relieved to end the daily batterings, but fearing reprisal, the woman looked up at the guru. To her surprise, the guru smiled. Congratulations, he said. You have now graduated. You know everything you need to know. How's that? The woman asked. You have learned that you will never learn everything there is to know, he replied, and you have learned how to stop the pain. That's what this book is about, stopping the pain and gaining control of your life. Many people have learned to do it. You can learn to do it too. So that's the introduction. And I think I'm going to go into chapter number 1. Okay. That's me, the crazy one who's been lied to so much. All right, here we go. Chapter number 1, my story. The sun was shining and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful day when I met him. Then everything went crazy. Melody, married to an alcoholic. When we met, I was 2 years clean and sober from alcohol and drugs. I worked as a legal secretary at a prestigious Minneapolis law firm on the top floor of the newly built IDS Center, while taking courses at the University of Minnesota to become a chemical dependency counselor. Our introduction had been arranged by my Alcoholics Anonymous AA sponsor. I was ecstatic. David was everything I could have hoped for and more. 6'4", good-looking, smart, well-read, and funny. He was a part of the founding family of a major therapeutic community/rehabilitation center in Minneapolis, not the rehab I had attended, and served as the director there. He was in the newspapers frequently, associating with judges and bigwigs. He worked in diversion, helping people get out of prison and into treatment for crimes related to substance abuse, both pre- and post-sentencing. This work was as exciting as it was novel. As a society, we were just beginning to discover and get honest about the depth, width, and impact of substance abuse. Everyone loved David, from the people he helped to the judges to his friends and family. Soon I did too. By then, I'd made my amends, emotional and financial. I'd worked my recovery program hard. The process was everything to me. David had achieved 5 more years of sobriety than I had, though he hadn't attended AA. He said through the therapeutic community in which he worked, he'd found another way to get clean and sober and stay clean and sober. Because he worked in recovery and was so respected and loved, I took him at face value. Our relationship progressed quickly. He moved into my small 1-bedroom apartment in South Minneapolis. Because we both worked, David often through evenings, weekends, and holidays. Our time together was limited and precious. I was busy studying, working at the law firm, and attending AA. 6 months after we met, we got married in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I'd been excited about the ceremony, but it felt off. Instead of staying in South Dakota for a honeymoon, David changed plans at the last minute and wanted to return to Minneapolis immediately so he could stand in for his brother Jim in a theater production. He and Jim both worked in theater, boxing, and rehabilitation. I asked if he'd like me to attend. He said no. When he came back to the apartment after the show, our first night home as a married couple, David told me that his father had suffered a stroke and died that evening. He needed to go to the hospital, be with his brothers, and make arrangements. I asked if he wanted me to come with him. He said no. At 6:30 the next morning, he walked into the apartment and said that he had decided to play cards with his friends and distract himself from his loss. I'd been up all night crying and was waiting for word. David paced back and forth, his large frame filling the apartment and towering over me from my spot on the sofa while I tried to repress how distraught I felt. I took a big chance when I married you, he said, scowling. You're only 2 years sober. You're iffy when it comes to sobriety. You're new at it. Don't let me down. Don't prove I made a mistake. His words hit their target. The truth was, I knew nothing about marriage, even less about love. My mom had been married 8 times. No marriage lasted longer than 2 years. She was an aggressive, demanded, controlling woman in pain who'd been raised on a farm with 7 brothers, 2 of whom would later be sent to prison on charges of child molestation. I was the youngest of her 4 children by 10 years. My mom had placed the father of my 3 elder siblings in the hospital when they were young and then divorced him. She married my father years later when she found herself pregnant with me. Her favorite thing to say to me, I should have aborted you when I could. Hurt people, even sometimes their kids. All the kids in my family ran from home as soon as they could, including me. Mom was a screamer. She walked into a room screeching and yelling and walked out the same way. Judgmental, accusatory, blaming, and without mercy, she beat my siblings. I still remember hiding behind a chair when I was very young, watching her pin my 13-year-old brother to a wall. She held his hair with one hand and beat him across the face with a heavy wooden paddle, back and forth, one blow after another. Because I had heart problems, I escaped beatings, unless she asked stepdad of the year to punish me. Then he did as he pleased. You'll be gone from this house before I am. I think as I waited for him to leave my room. I started medicating with alcohol at age 11. My brother and I slowly consumed all the booze under the sink that Mom kept for the men she entertained. Mom didn't drink. She barely took aspirin when her head hurt. I marked off the days until I turned 18 on a large calendar, and I kept that under my mattress. At the private academy where I attended high school, I excelled, learning to type 150 words a minute, take shorthand, and speak other languages. I also fell in love with writing when I worked on the school paper, the youngest student ever on staff. But I had 0 social life. Since a stranger had abducted me at age 4 from the street where I live and molested me, I wasn't allowed one. It was my mom's way of protecting me. My dad had left when I was 2. He was a skilled and extremely creative musician who worked as a fireman. He was also an alcoholic. I can't remember the exact mumbled, drunken, and devastating words he said the night he walked out for good, but they marked me with profound subliminal guilt and shame, making me feel that it was my fault that I didn't have a dad who loved me. It shouldn't have surprised me that I was clueless about how to be married, how to participate in a good marriage, or even what being in a good marriage looked like. I wasn't allowed to date or have friends until I turned 18 and left home. Soon after, I stumbled into my first real relationship. My boyfriend was 10 years older than I and dealt pot and pills. He later got sober and started Narcotics Anonymous in Minneapolis. 2 years later, I ran off with a hard narcotics dealer, a rich kid from the suburbs who still lived in a posh home with his posh parents. Then I discovered I was pregnant. I wanted to have the baby and then place him for adoption. My boyfriend said he'd found a family, but then I learned that all he knew about these people was that they were willing to pay him $20,000 for the baby. I put a stop to that. No way would I let him sell our baby. That was just such a weird sentence to read. After John was born, the boyfriend and I lived together in an apartment for a few months. We got a marriage license, which I ripped to pieces less than 24 hours later. I wasn't 100% sane, but despite my actions and addiction, I had the mental presence to know that this marriage would never work. But if we didn't marry, John would be labeled illegitimate for the rest of his life. I taped the marriage license back together and we got married a week later. By then, I was working as a legal secretary to help with our financial situation. The firm I worked at represented a new clinic in the Mount Sinai Hospital complex that opened sometime around 1970. Methadone is an opiate substitute that helps addicts avoid using drugs. One day, I walked into my boss's office, closing the door behind me. I'm an addict, I told him. On coffee breaks, I shoot dilaudid. Can you please help my husband and me get on the methadone program, please? I asked. Their waiting list is long and we can't wait. After a moment, he agreed to help. The next day we got on the methadone program, but I lost my job. The firm couldn't afford to have a drug addict on their payroll. My first marriage dissolved after only 1 month after that. My husband took our baby and returned to his parents. I knew deep in my soul that I couldn't raise the child. I also knew that I couldn't allow my mom to have him. As much as one could find peace in such circumstances, I knew allowing his paternal grandparents to raise him was the right thing to do. But after I made that decision, I was lost. For the next year or so, I drove into as much darkness and oblivion as I could find, resulting in a court sentence to treatment and admonition that even so much as a parking ticket from thereafter would result in jail time. Now, 5 years later, I was attempting to sort my marriage to David. Maybe everything that was happening to us was normal. Maybe this overwhelming mess of feelings in my gut was normal too. My sponsor was of the opinion that David and I were a match made in heaven. I wasn't so sure. I wanted it to work. I needed it to work. My hope was that our marriage would not only be good for us, but could also inspire others. My soul and self-esteem couldn't handle another divorce. I discussed my marriage with one other woman my age who had been married for 12 years to another co-founder of the rehab program where David worked. She and her husband seemed so in love. Their marriage clicked. One day I asked her, "How do you stay married and not just get divorced?" "Just do not ever get divorced," she said, "no matter what." Seemed simple enough, I thought. 1 month after David and I married, I became pregnant with our daughter, Nicole. Being pregnant with her inspired me to go for my dream of working as a chemical dependency counselor. I wanted to help others the way my counselor had profoundly helped me transform my life. I started taking job interviews at a chemical codependency treatment center in Minneapolis that was hiring. In the mid-1970s, there were not many treatment center openings for women outside of office work. After I'd taken every interview available and come up empty-handed, I then surrendered to my despair. David came home from work and said his rehab had decided to hire me. Quote, "It's an office job. It involves working with the board of directors," he explained, "but something else might open up later down the line." I took it. David and I moved into a larger apartment in Edina. I worked until Nicole was born. David just seemed jubilant about the baby, though he worked all the time and he traveled a lot for business. 3 weeks after Nicole was born, I was at home with her and David when the toilet wouldn't stop running. I went into the bathroom and jiggled the handle a few times. It didn't help. Finally, I removed the lid of the toilet tank. Like a scene from a bad movie, a bottle of vodka was wedged in the tank. This was too on the nose. 2 days of wine and roses. David drinking? I could barely take it in. This hadn't even occurred to me, not ever, not for a second. When I confronted David later, I threatened to leave. But where would I go with a 3-week-old baby? David promised that the vodka had been a one-off. It wouldn't happen again. His older brother dropped by, encouraging, begging me to give David another chance. It struck me as odd that out of the 3 of us, I was the only one who thought David's drinking was a problem. I knew it wouldn't be smart for my own sobriety to stay with a substance abuser, but I stayed. Around that time, our little family moved to a home on Pleasant Avenue in South Minneapolis. My mother had loaned us the money for a down payment. The place was dilapidated and a mess. It had been used as a rental property, and it clearly hadn't received any TLC for many years. I quickly learned that David's familiarity with screwdrivers extended only to the drink, not the tool. I learned how to repair and paint walls. I sanded and refinished the floors. I patched a huge hole in the bathroom wall that went clear through to the outside. I made the kitchen pretty and welcoming. I turned the house into a warm, comfortable home. I was also promoted at work. Federal funding required that the rehab facility where I worked fund groups for the family members and loved ones of substance abusers. "We want you to organize and run that group," David said, "for the families." Horrifying visions of working with women like my mother filled my head. While AA had opened its doors and hearts to us, most of the younger people in the program didn't participate in Al-Anon, which was started in 1951 for family members affected by someone else's drinking. I mostly thought of it as a program for elderly Catholic women. "I don't know what to do with them," I said. "Neither do we," David said. "That's why you get the job." I wasn't excited. I wanted to work with the substance abusers, the people with the real problem, not the significant others who weren't significant, not to themselves or anyone. Nevertheless, I buckled and accepted the challenge. My goal was to facilitate the most helpful, effective group I could. It took not more than a minute for me to realize I belonged in this group too. We were mirrors, the people in this group and me. As I watched and listened, I began hearing myself. Though I dug deep into the literature and my education at the university on how to deal with families of substance abusers, I found little that was tangibly helpful in terms of therapeutic technique. However, when I started looking inside and around myself and following my curiosity, I began to find answers, though slowly at first. 40 years in the future, I would discover a universal synchronicity. While our culture was still raising its consciousness about the prevalence of substance abuse and starting to spread information about how to heal from it, American astronomer Charles Kowal identified the major asteroid Chiron, which was finally big and bright enough to see. Chiron became known as the wounded healer planet, referring to the Greek god Chiron's ability to heal everyone but himself. In 1951, Carl Jung had been the first to apply the term wounded healer to the way in which a healer's own soul disease and pain can train them to help others heal. If that's true, I was well trained. To quote Rumi, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." David's drinking relapses had become more severe and frequent, causing more damage to him, our family, and ultimately his career. I became more incensed, frightened, curious, trapped, despondent, uncertain, overwhelmed, suspicious, controlling, rigid, miserable, and unhappy. There was no peace between his relapses, only unexpressed anger and fear about when it would happen again. Our finances were constantly in chaos. I became an expert at fending off the gas company workers showing up at our door to shut off utilities. David didn't believe in paying bills. I was compulsive about it. I saw over time that we shared very few values except one. We both loved our daughter. I also knew that he was having affairs, though I could never prove it. After we divorced, I learned that he had never ended his relationship with the lover he had had before we were married. She lived a mile from us. How can you confront someone when they so effectively and wholeheartedly deny your claims and you have no proof? The gaslighting was enough to make me go crazy. I had to let go. I didn't want all this angst. I didn't want a broken family. I didn't want to be codependent. I hated being codependent. 2 years and 2 months after Nicole was born, our son Shane was born. David barely showed up at the hospital, even though I had one of those lovely rooms where both parents could sleep with the baby. Nicole was with her grandmother. I'm certain David was with his lover. Little by slowly, the lies and betrayals and the disease of alcoholism disabused me of any feelings of love I had for David. I divorced him when the time was right, when I felt empowered to do that. I waited until the last possible moment. The kids loved their daddy so much. But by the time we moved out of Pleasant Avenue, I found dozens of empty vodka bottles hidden in the basement. David was my karma. He was my qualifier, the person who qualified me for codependency and Al-Anon, and my trigger, and he triggered a lot. He was also my motivation, the driving force behind me learning about codependency and wanting to share my healing with others. He wasn't a bad guy, though his behaviors hurt the family and me a lot. Many of our mutual acquaintances knew of his affairs and his drinking. It was embarrassing and humiliating. I've since learned to let his behavior reflect on him and not take it on myself. He had a compulsion to drink and screw around. He'd lost control. I had a compulsion to control him. I'd lost control too. I was about to learn 3 fundamental ideas. First, I wasn't crazy. I was codependent. Alcoholism and other compulsive disorders are truly family illnesses. The way the illness affects other family members is called codependency. Second, once family members have been affected, codependency takes on a life of its own. It's similar to catching pneumonia or picking up any destructive habit. Once you've got it, it's yours. And third, if we want to get rid of it, we have to do something to make it go away. It doesn't matter whose fault it is. Our codependency becomes our problem and our challenge. Solving our problem is our responsibility. If we're codependent, we need to find our own recovery or healing process, our own path to well-being. To begin that recovery, it helps to understand codependency and certain attitudes, feelings, and behaviors that often accompany it. It's also important to change some of these attitudes and behaviors and understand what to expect as these changes occur. This book will search for those understandings and encourage those changes. There's more to my story. I found a new beginning. I got better. I started living my own life. You can too. And then at the end of the chapter, she has an activity. So it says, at the end of the following chapters, you'll find prompts to record your responses to what you've read. You might find it helpful to get a notebook and write down thoughts and feelings you have as you read this book. And that's the end of that activity. So she's just saying, if you want to get a notebook or something to do the activities in or record like your thoughts or journal afterwards or something, that might be helpful in that process. So that was chapter 1. Yes, addiction is typically a symptom of undiagnosed, untreated mental illness. Oh, nice. Okay. My mom married ×3, all 3 alcoholics. My mom was married 3 times too. My dad was an alcoholic, but I don't know about the other ones. Yeah. Happy holidays. All right. So I think I'm going to leave that there. My throat feels a little bit sore whenever I do a lot of reading from the book. Not that it's a bad thing. I like reading out loud. It actually helps me, take it in a little bit differently or more. So yeah, thank you guys for hanging out with me on this lovely Friday. I hope you have a beautiful weekend and, happy Thank-A-Ween-Miss, happy holidays. And I hope that you're enjoying the winter season. Oh, we do have candles. Speaking of, let me just, I'm not going to give the whole spiel, but we do have our winter Christmas candles. And, I guess I'll just show you. We've got, Saint Nick. This is, people are really catching on to this. I'm so glad because it smells really good. And, some of our neighbors actually got this one too. And sugar plum. This is another really good one. It smells like sugar plums, orange, lemon, raspberry, plum, sugar, ginger, apple, cinnamon. It smells so good. These two are earthy, kind of homey, old-timey Christmas. And we've got Midwinter Night and Christmas Wreath. This is very piney, if you like that kind of pine winter scent. It's got a hint of eucalyptus and menthol in there too. So good. Mama's House. We have this year round. This is just a favorite. It's one of our best sellers and it smells like warm cookies in your oven. I made some warm cookies yesterday from a package, but still. And peppermint cocoa, which it's what it says. It's what it says on the tin. Okay. So I think all I wanted to mention, and if you're on Patreon, we have a pre-recorded reading for tomorrow, and it is what is blocking them from coming in. And I think that's what I got here. So the Bayou, thank you again for a super chat. Aw, you're welcome. Okay, I'm going to get some food, rest my voice. Have a great rest of your day. Bye, guys.